ABC Sports presents College Football Today, featuring this afternoon's scores and highlights with Jim Lampley and Bino Cook.
Good afternoon again. I'm Jim Lampley. It is a very active day in college football. Let's get up to date right now on what is happening to ranked teams in the UPI poll, which we are using for reference here this week. Fifth-ranked South Carolina is involved in a wild game in Raleigh's Carter Stadium. There have been 3 lead changes in the last 3 minutes of this ball game, and right now the Gamecocks, with Mike Holt again relieving Mitchell at quarterback, on top 28-25. The game isn't over yet. One game was just ended moments ago. Notre Dame got a 44-yard field goal from John Carney with 17 seconds left to beat Navy 18-17. This is the kind of game that Jerry Faust's teams have had difficulty winning through his 4 years at Notre Dame. But today, Carney hit the field goal, and the Irish came up winners despite turning the ball over 6 times. In their 4 previous appearances at the Meadowlands, they had drawn upwards of 72,000 fans. Today, only 61,000 were on hand for the Notre Dame-Navy game. And an upset in West Virginia, where the Cavaliers have beaten the Mountaineers 27-7. Remember, Virginia has not lost since the opening blowout by Clemson, and a lot of attention had been paid to the coaching job Don Nehlen was doing at West Virginia. But what a coaching job George Welsh has done in Charlottesville.
Yes, Georgie Welsh is one of the great coaches in America, and I think it's only a feeling. I don't know anything, but I think this will be his last year at Virginia. He won at Navy, went to Virginia a couple of years ago. He wanted the Stanford job a few years ago, did not get it. He turned down a Big Ten job, and he was interviewed for the job at Florida, but Charlie Pell got it. Now, Virginia has not won 7 games, Jimmy, since 1952. They've had no back-to-back winning seasons since Harry Truman was in the White House. Truly one of the best coaches in America, and if he gets at the big school, he will win the national title.
All right, there's a statement. Virginia's a nice place. You sure he's not going to want to stay there?
Well, Thomas Jefferson wants him to stay, but I think he wants to win the national title.
Texas Tech has beaten Texas in 3 of the past 4 presidential election years, the only exception being the Watergate year of 1972. And right now, in Lubbock, the Red Raiders lead the Longhorns 3-0 in the first quarter. 4th-ranked Nebraska is leading Iowa State 10-0 in the second quarter. Tom Osborne had to spend the week talking about agents and investments and all of the things which are the business elements of the growing business of college football. Miami against Louisville. Bernie Kosar, 330 yards in the 4th quarter. 34 touchdown passes now in his career, surpassing Jim Kelly to making him #1 among Hurricane passers. Georgia is leading Memphis State only 10-3 in the 4th quarter. Kevin Butler has kicked his 71st career field goal. That's an NCAA record for the moment, but Luis Zendejas has 70. Oklahoma State at Kansas State. The Cowboys don't have a lot of offense, but they do lead 12-3 in the 2nd quarter. Syracuse beat Pitt for the first time since 1972. A 13-7 victory as Kangemi and Jellick were unable to move the offense for the Panthers. They're 1-7-1 now. Holy Cross started 7-0 for the second consecutive year, but BU now leads them 14-6 in the 3rd quarter. North Carolina controlled the game for a while against Maryland, but gave up the lead at the end of the 3rd quarter. The Terps are now rolling at 34-16. Clemson leading Wake Forest 37-7 in the 4th quarter. Georgia Tech is leading badly crippled Duke 24-3 in the 3rd quarter. Duke couldn't even practice on Monday. They've had so many injuries. Tulane at Virginia Tech, and the Gobblers lead at 10-3 in the 3rd. Alabama has beaten Mississippi State 25 of the last 26 meetings, but another bad day for Ray Perkins. So far, it's 13-0 in the 2nd quarter. Kentucky trying to bounce back, leading North Texas State 17-7 in the 3rd. Wisconsin almost stalled Iowa's path to the Rose Bowl, but because of the tie, the Hawkeyes still control their own destiny. If they can beat Michigan State and Minnesota, they go to Pasadena. Ohio State began the day without Keith Byers, but he is back in the lineup, and it's 40-0 Buckeyes over Hoosiers in the 3rd. Michigan was behind 24-0 at halftime playing Purdue. They've now come back to make it 24-7. Remember, this is the first time Michigan has played on grass since the 1982 Rose Bowl, and that may pose some problems for the Wolverines. Minnesota at Illinois, 27-0 Illini 2nd quarter. Dennis Green on the griddle, perhaps at Northwestern, probably not. They trailed 27-3 in the 4th quarter, and the betting is that Doug Single, the athletic director, will give Green the final year on his contract at least next year. Oklahoma leading 42-7 over Missouri in the 4th. Danny Bradley is back with a vengeance and an exclamation point for the Oklahoma offense. Kansas at Colorado. It is 10-0 Colorado in the 1st quarter. Remember, Kansas beat Oklahoma last week, so the Big 8 is becoming increasingly unpredictable. And we'll be back to see what's happening with TCU and Jim Wacker's Smash Mouth football after this.
College Football Today is being sponsored by Radio Shack, the computer experts, By Ryder Truck Rental. When you move it yourself, it's Ryder or it's wrong. By Sears, where you'll find great value. There's more for your life at Sears. And by Owens Corning. Our building products put your house in the paint.
What would you call a Zenith that's ready now for TV stereo sound?
Smart.
With a remote that lets you switch from VCR to computer to cable to games with one easy touch.
Smart.
Plus the new Zenith Chromacolor Contrast Picture Tube for superb color.
Smart.
The Smart Sets, advanced System 3 from Zenith, designed with Zenith computer technology when you want everything.
Smart.
There we were in no man's land, when the moving truck died in the sun and the sand. So since it seemed we'd be a while, we set up house and we waited in style. And we waited, and we waited, and we waited. Now I know Ryder and some newer. They're tougher, they're strong, and driving a bargain sure didn't pay. So next time I'll think this way, it's Ryder or it's wrong.
Last year, Sears tuned up 1 million engines, performed more than 1 million brake repairs, installed over 3 million shocks, sold upwards of 9 million tires, and replaced more batteries than anyone else in America. At Sears, we install confidence. And best of all, we do it right next door to all this.
It's more for your life. It's more for your life at Sears.
TCU made the Associated Press Top 20 for the first time since 1962 this week. Today in the Astrodome in front of Liberty, Peach, Bluebonnet, Independence, Cotton Bowl, and Sun Bowl Scouts, they beat Houston 21-14. The Scouts saw Kenneth Davis, the outstanding TCU rusher, have this 58-yard run on his way to a 131-yard day. Davis leading the nation with an average of over 8 yards per carry, and he's the number 3 total yardage rusher in the nation. TCU, quite a football story this year. Texas A&M and SMU are playing right now. It is 7-3 Ponies in the first quarter. UCLA and Oregon are just getting underway. It is 3-0 Oregon in the second quarter. Bino, some people are about to see Auburn and Florida, and what an irony it would be in this of all years if the Gators were finally to finish with the best record in the Southeastern Conference. What'll happen?
Well, the Florida Gators are the Chicago Cubs of the South. And it definitely would be ironic if Florida beats Auburn, beats Georgia, and then beats Kentucky, wins the conference or shares it with LSU. It would be amazing. My feeling is if they do all this, they will end up in the Sugar Bowl. Everything will be put off for a year.
And the conference, of course, has postponed indefinitely a meeting which was to have been held Monday to determine what to do with the conference championship if Florida won. Are they waiting for the Gators to lose?
I think they're waiting to see what happens in Florida. Auburn would make it easier for them if Auburn won.
All right, one final note as we leave the air here. South Carolina has been tied by a North Carolina State field goal. That game is 28-28 with 2:26 to go. We'll be taking you out to the football game you're going to see in this region right after this.
What gets America moving when the weather turns cold?
Prestone.
What keeps football heroes on the go?
Prestone.
Why does your car need a fresh fill of Prestone? A radiator could look this bad after just 10,000 miles of driving on weak, neglected antifreeze, while a Prestone radiator looks this good. That's the Prestone difference.
What gets the country set for winter from New York to San Antonio? America goes with Prestone.
My family gave me Radio Shack's portable Model 100 computer for Christmas last year. 5 built-in programs, including telephone communications. And this Christmas, it's on sale. A super gift for my son. He can take notes at college. And one for my wife, for the household budgeting. And maybe one for, nice computer. They're on sale at Radio Shack.
Save $200 now on the Model 100 portable computer, only at Radio Shack.
Danger lurks everywhere, but I am always ready for the unexpected.
Owens Corning knows a lot of accidents occur in wet, slippery tubs. So we make tubs and showers with safer, textured, slip-resistant surfaces, so wet feet can stay more sure-footed.
In my business, you must always watch your step.
Owens Corning, our building products put your house in the pink.
Auburn, Florida, the game coming up. See if CFA college football next.
Saturday, Fall Guys Heather Thomas teams up with T.J. Hooker
My partner asked you a question.
to bust a crooked cop's porno ring.
Bad mistake, mister.
Then an all-new love boat shaped up with red-hot charo.
Even my kinks have kinks.
All starting at 8/7 Central. Tonight.
Know what makes a senior citizen feel welcome when he walks into a business? One thing is a senior citizen discount. And now, to help businesses tell seniors about their discounts, Southwestern Bell Publications has a great new idea, the Silver Pages. It's the specialty directory of businesses in my area that offers discounts just for seniors. This book will be a welcome sight for lots of seniors, like me. So welcome us into your business with your senior citizen discount in the Silver Pages.
Our Congressman, Mike Bilirakis, is working for a brighter future for our senior citizens and serves on the Select Committee on Aging. Congressman Bilirakis worked to repeal the 10% withholding on interest and dividend income. He voted for the Social Security reform package, saving the system from bankruptcy. Mike Bilirakis has worked to improve Medicaid and Medicare coverage while working to hold down the rising cost of health care. Mike Bilirakis, working to make the 9th District a better place to live, and doing it.
15 years ago, we started with this symbol and an ideal. We would do business in a spirit of honesty and integrity. We would strive for the highest degree of customer satisfaction. Your response has been so overwhelming that today Royal Buick is recognized as one of America's great Buick dealerships. When you come to Royal Buick, you'll be treated first class.
Sky Tint, 5 years, the one and only.
ABC Sports presents CFA College Football. From Florida Field in Gainesville, it's the Auburn Tigers against the Florida Gators.
This ABC Sports Exclusive is being brought to you by your local BMW dealer. BMW, the ultimate driving machine. By Sharp Electronic Corporation. From sharp minds come sharp products. By AC Delco, General Motors Corporation, quality replacement parts for just about anything that moves. AC Delco, the smart parts. And by U.S. Armed Forces, it's a great place to start.
We may be getting a break in the weather. It was a rainy morning and early afternoon as Auburn gets set to take on Florida in a key Southeastern Conference matchup, and maybe the best matchup in all the country today. With Auburn coming in having won 6 straight, Florida having won 5 straight, but the field is drying rapidly, and right now a little bit of clearing to the west, so hopefully good conditions. I'm Al Michaels, and not only is the story on the field in this game, but very much off the field, as it has been for Florida for the past 2 years. Recently, Florida penalized by the NCAA, found guilty of 59 various infractions. What they can do now is appeal to the NCAA. If they do appeal, the NCAA Council does not meet again until January. What that basically means, bottom line, is that Florida could be eligible to play in the Sugar Bowl if they win the Southeastern Conference title. And just as a historical footnote, Florida has never won an SEC title. They could do that, or the SEC could say they can't play. It remains to be seen. Meanwhile, here's an update on the situation as I talk with Florida President Marshall Kreiser. President Kreiser, will the University of Florida appeal the NCAA decision by the Wednesday deadline this week?
Well, 2 answers to that. Short answer is no announcement at this time. We're still trying to get some clarification of the situation. We will continue working with that until we have a better clarification. Long answer is that it needs to be understood that there are reasons that the University of Florida might appeal that present decision, in addition to whether or not it would remain qualified for a conference championship for a postseason game this year. As you know, the NCAA sanctions penalties have been quite severe, and we are trying to determine just the extent of that severity. And some have interpreted that as only attempting to remain eligible for bowl participation. That's not true. There's a long-range effect on this university, which has to be evaluated, and we're continuing with that evaluation. We intend to operate within the rules and the procedures. We intend, however, to see to it that ultimately fairness prevails.
So in other words, you're denying what the skeptics are contending, that if Florida wins this game, you will appeal. If you lose the game, you won't appeal.
Whether or not we win this game or win next Saturday or win next Saturday and the following Saturday, we intend to win the next 3 weeks. That will only be a factor in whether or not we appeal. There are other overriding decisions as to whether or not we appeal. Winning 1 or 2 or 3 of the next games is only one of those factors.
The Florida Gators right now coming onto the field. Sold out 74,000 at Florida Field. They lost to Miami earlier in the season in their opener. Were tied by LSU, have won 5 straight, and the Auburn Tigers have already arrived. Their marks are reflected there. Just to add a footnote to what President Kreiser said, if they win today, then the side story next week, as I'm joined by Lee Grosscup, will be as big as the game itself as Florida takes on Georgia. What's going to happen? If they lose, it's all academic. They'll probably start taking the penalties and worry about the bowls in a couple of years. But all things considered, what effect, Lee, has this had on the Florida Gators on the field? What effect has it had on the players and the coaches?
Well, Al, I have seen cases where teams will turn adversity to advantage. In professional football, the Los Angeles Raiders are that kind of a football team. I think that Galen Hall has had a calming effect on the team, and as a result of that, they're playing really fast and loose. Now, another positive factor has been the development of their freshman quarterback, Kerwin Bell, and you look at his numbers and you see that he's number 3 in passing efficiency.
Another story today as we turn our attention to Auburn. Everybody around the country thought Bo Jackson was done from the year when he separated his shoulder against Texas in mid-September. Bo Jackson may play today.
If Bo does play, that will be a great emotional lift for them, because I think personally he's the most electrifying back in college football today, and if he is healthy, that's a big plus for Auburn.
That may come as a big surprise to a lot of people, but the doctor has cleared Jackson to play. You just saw him in uniform. He was working out before the game. He was doing push-ups. We'll see if he's in the lineup.
Every day, BMW presents a comprehensive report on the state of automotive technology, not through some dry dissertation or the theoretical vacuum of a laboratory, but rather through a more appropriate vehicle. The BMW 733i, the luxury sedan that translates the intricacies of technology into that very elusive commodity called fun.
Listen to these stuffy noses.
Afrin doesn't have it.
Dristan doesn't have it.
Only Sinex has it. Ooh! That quick feeling of relief from instantly penetrating Vicks vapors, plus a powerful decongestant that opens nasal passages and allows you to breathe freely.
Ah, complete relief.
For hours and hours. Sinex gives you both instant relief and complete relief. Sinex in regular and extra strength.
From Vicks, of course.
Little sharks, big sharks, shooting from the hip shark. Night shark, bright shark, boogie through the night shark.
There's an awful lot going on in video these days, and it's all going on at Sharp.
Chic sharks, sleek sharks, anything you see, sharks.
Sharp Video. From sharp minds come sharp products.
Soldier, we know you, courageous and brave, the country you honored, the flag that you waved. Soldier, we thank you. On Veterans Day, you're the pride of America.
From the people at Coors to America's veterans.
You're the pride of today.
A look now at Galen Hall, head coach of the University of Florida, who carries the title interim head coach. Charlie Pell was here. Pell had resigned before the season, but had asked to stay on and was granted that request through 3 games. He was 1-1-1, then fired, and Hall is 4-0. His opposite number is Pat Dye, who started his head coaching career at Eastern Carolina, went to Wyoming for 1 year, 1980, came to Auburn in 1981, and last year won a conference championship and the Sugar Bowl. His team winding up 3rd in the nation. important, critical game in the Southeastern Conference. Auburn had won the toss and deferred the choice to the second half. Florida will receive the first half kickoff. Lorenzo Hampton, who was injured 2 weeks ago and didn't play against Cincinnati in Florida's last game, is back to receive. McGinty, last week's hero for Auburn, starts the game by kicking it out of bounds. So we will have a re-kick on an AstroTurf playing surface that has dried in a hurry. It's crowned well. Good drainage system here, and despite heavy rain this morning, the field is in very good shape. Take a look at the offensive backfield for Florida. Kerwin Bell, a great story in himself, walk-on non-scholarship quarterback at the moment. You saw Anderson and John L. Williams, and Hampton will also see a lot of time. Gary Roll is one wide out, and Ricky Nattiel is the other. Good speed, and Nattiel leads the nation in punt returns. Kerwin Bell is third in the country in passing efficiency behind Robbie Bosco of BYU and also Chuck Long of Iowa. But don't be deceived. Florida's strength is its running game, and they're going to have to run well today to win. From the 35-yard line, it is Hampton now taking the kick at the 4, up past the 10, the 20, the 30, and Lorenzo takes it out to the 35-yard line. First down at the 35. Walter Odom is the tight end. Crawford Kerr is 283 pounds. Jeff Zimmerman is the right guard. Phil Bromley is an all-conference and all-America pick. Billy Hinson, the left guard, 278 pounds, and Lomas Brown is outstanding at left tackle, and all of those men bench press over 400 pounds. So it's a big, strong offensive unit. And as we say, Florida's strength is its running game. First down from the 35-yard line with Williams and Anderson, the backs, and Odom in motion, and it's Williams getting the pitch, and Williams turning it up for about 5 yards. Second down and 5 upcoming. Auburn defense up front, Robinson, Williams, Holman, and Thomas are really the men to watch. They do a lot of the damage, and Daly on the outside. Greg Carr is outstanding. Pat Thomas, the other linebacker. Secondary is suspect. Porter and Briggs and Powell and Beasley, and they're missing a key man this week, Lee.
They have had injuries, 3 key injuries, which we'll talk about during the game. You mentioned Bo Jackson, of course, who might play today.
David King is the defensive back who broke his leg last week and is out for the year as it's taken by Neil Anderson through the middle for a first down. So an auspicious beginning for Florida as Anderson picks up the first and 10 from the 47-yard line.
We are isolated on number 54, Greg Carr, the linebacker and scholar athlete. And Anderson goes right by Greg Carr after he gets a great block there from number 22, John L. Williams.
Gators at the 47. Gray, overcast, and pretty cool right now. Yesterday it was in the low 80s. Right now it is in the 60s. 74,000 looking on at Florida Field. Kerwin Bell motions over toward the bench and takes a timeout. Timeout as the 25-second clock was running down. He didn't like the look of the defense, and he'll come over to talk to Galen Hall. So we're just underway, a minute and a half into the game in Gainesville. No score.
Test pilot Chuck Yeager for AC Delco.
This flight doesn't get scrubbed for bad weather. A high-performance fighter has the technology to handle it. So does this, the all-weather Delco Freedom Battery, with the power to start you in the cold and the technology to beat the heat. And you never add a drop of water. Never wait for trouble. Get the all-weather Delco Freedom Battery.
From $39.95 for a Series 40, call 800 AC Delco.
The Nikon FG is the 35mm camera sophisticated enough for the serious photographer.
Camera, pictures, human fun.
Yet switched to programmed, it's simple enough for total beginners. And it's so reasonably priced, it even makes a great gift.
Hey, Morty, look at this. Another brand new FG. Why do these earthlings keep giving us their cameras?
Auburn and Florida, Southeastern Conference. If Auburn wins this game, they'll be tied with Georgia for the conference lead at 4-0. Florida comes in 2-0-1. Georgia playing a non-conference game today against Memphis State, so their mark will stay at 4-0. After the timeout, first down with a flag down, and Neil Anderson takes the ball across the 50-yard line, but let's see about the penalty marker, which was dropped at the line of scrimmage. Illegal procedure is the call against the Florida Gators. This game rated very closely by most experts. Florida a slight favorite. I would suspect, Lee, Florida is a slight favorite because of two conditions, as you get the call now from Robert Aye, the official. They have the home field advantage, number one, and also their kicking game is outstanding.
Their kicking game is rated best in the country. They have a long and short place kicker, and likewise with punting.
1st and 15 after the penalty with Kerwin Bell, the redshirt freshman, on a draw. They love to run this play, and it's Anderson taking it out to the 46-yard line where he's stopped by Gerald Williams. One of the favorite plays in the Florida playbook, and again Florida undergoing a coaching change mid-year. Charlie Pell was 1-1-1. Galen Hall 4-0.
This is exactly what Galen Hall wanted to do when we had coffee with him yesterday and talked about some of the things that he would like to do. He mentioned that he would like to establish the inside running game and particularly get work from his tailbacks. In this case, it was Anderson.
2nd down and 11 with the Gators at the 46-yard line. No score, just underway in Florida Field. Good protection for Bell, who shoots it out incomplete, intended for Ricky Natile, who's caught 15 balls this year. And it will be 3rd and 11.
Natile is not only effective as a receiver, but he ranks number 1 in the country in punt returns.
That's part of the kicking game we talked about. Not only is their place kicking outstanding and their punting outstanding, and they have 2 men who do the punting and 2 who do the place kicking, but their coverage is outstanding, and as Lee just said, Natile leads the country in punt returns, and Pat Dye is concerned that it could come down to that. It might be the difference in the ball game. From the 46-yard line, Frankie Neal is now in and split wide to the left on 3rd and 11. Off the play fake, Bell throws over the middle, and it is caught at the 34-yard line. A great catch made there by Ray McDonald, number 9. Ray McDonald, after it looked like the Auburn defensive back coming up might have had an interception. First down at the 34-yard line.
We talked about Kerwin Bell at the top of the show. Redshirt freshman quarterback, 6'3", 190. And he has a rocket on his shoulder. That ball is perfectly thrown. It had to be to get by the linebacker or the safety man, Vic Beasley. Beasley, it appeared, had a good shot at an interception.
20-yard gain, and the Gators have it at the Tiger 34-yard line. And the pitch goes to Anderson, who turns it down to the 30 for a gain of 4. He is stopped there by Gerald Robinson, 95, and Pat Thomas, number 41.
Galen Hall likes the concept of ball control football. Remember, he was an assistant at Oklahoma. He likes the wishbone, but he said that he also likes the I formation. He likes to get the ball to his tailbacks, and he says he will control the ball any way he can, but preferably he likes to do it on the ground.
2nd down, 6. Gators at the Auburn 30-yard line. Quick pitch goes to Williams. He has some room, picks up the first down as he slides out of bounds at the 22-yard line. Run out by Vic Beasley. If Auburn is susceptible, it's on defense, you would think, normally through the air, especially with the loss of King, with Florida with an outstanding ground game. In fact, I'm talking about the importance of stopping Florida on the ground, but it's been an auspicious beginning here for the Gators.
Big story there. South Carolina coming back to win that one, 35-28. Well, this is exactly what Galen hoped to do, was get the running game going and throw high percentage passes early on.
First down, Gators, impressive drive right now at the 22-yard line. Lorenzo Hampton is in the game at tailback. Bell with a quick drop, and the flip is complete, and a nice spinning move, and a first down to Ray McDonald, number 9. McDonald has caught 10 passes this season coming in, and he's caught 2 on this drive.
I've always liked that pattern. It's called a hitch pattern. The wide receiver just runs a short hitch. Now watch him on the right. Ray McDonald down 3 yards, hitches up right there. The ball has to be thrown with great deal of timing and force. He shakes off number 3, Kevin Porter, whirls to the outside, and picks up valuable yardage close to the goal line before Greg Carr, number 54, the linebacker, whips him out of bounds.
So 1st and 10. Gators at the 11-yard line. 11:25 to play in the first period. Pitch to John L. Williams. And Williams gets turned back at about the 6.5 by Carr and Beasley.
Now let me tell you about John L. Williams, their fullback. He is not your typical nuts and bolts fullback, a guy that's just going to get you the short yards running tackle to tackle. Williams has very quick feet, and he's also one of the best pass receivers on the team. So he's not only a good short yardage runner, but also a big play man.
And his average would reflect that. He's averaged 7 yards per carry. That in his last game against Cincinnati, his overall season average is 5.8, which is pretty impressive for a guy you don't think about for the big play. 2nd down, 2nd and 5 for the first from the 6-yard line, and it's Anderson taking it to the 3, and a fumble, and Auburn has it. John Daly, number 96, after the pop by Vic Beasley. Beasley dislodged it, and then Daly recovered it. And the Florida drive is stopped on the fumble, and Auburn has it.
Anderson running the blast play off the left side is popped hard at the line of scrimmage by Vic Beasley, number 31. The ball comes loose right there, and John Daly, number 96, covers it for the Tigers.
10:37 remaining in the first quarter. Tigers will take over from their own 3.
If you've got what it takes and really care, there's a special kind of life you'll want to share. Serving your country is a special call. It's good for you. It's good for all. Not all who try fit the bill. It calls for brains. It calls for skill in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. High-tech and the services go hand in hand. It's a whole new world. You're in demand in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. You'll move up. You'll feel proud. You'll stand out above the crowd in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. But most of all, you'll earn the respect of the people and country you're there to protect. In the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. It's a great place to start.
I loved everything about buying a new car. The looks, the smell. I loved everything but getting the financing.
Then I found out about GMAC financing. It's so easy, you can do it all right at your GM dealer.
Now I love everything about getting a new car.
Except choosing which one. Chevy, Pontiac, Oldsmobile, GMC truck, Buick, ooh, Cadillac.
Tell your GM dealer you want GMAC financing.
That's the easy part.
Florida giving up the football on a fumble at the 3-yard line now. Auburn has the ball. We had thought that Auburn would go back to Pat Washington at quarterback. He's been hurt the past couple of weeks, but it's still Mike Mann who has guided the team to their last 2 wins, who starts at quarterback. Jackson, even though he might play today, is not in the lineup at the start. Number 23 is Kyle Collins. Out of the wishbone, he takes it out to the 6. So Washington expected to start, but again, it's Mann in there right now. Campbell's been performing very well. He's averaging 7.2 a carry. You'll see Collins run the ball. You'll see Ware run the ball. We're just showing you 3 of them there, though they use a lot of different people. They alternate there at split end. Gaines is the starter. You'll also see Buford, and their big man is number 14, the freshman Freddie Wagand at wide receiver. So they do a lot of shuffling and substituting. From the 6, 2nd down and 7 for Auburn. Out of a straight wishbone with a double tight end set up, and it's Collis Campbell who gets racked up back at the 5-yard line. Take a look now at the men up front. Jeff Parks is the tight end, 236-pound junior. Stacy Searles, recruited from Georgia, as was Lott, out of the town of Gainesville, Georgia. Ben Tamburello from Birmingham is the center, 249. 270-pound Randy Stokes on the left side, and next to him is Eric Floyd, a 256-pound freshman. The Auburn team, especially offensively, extremely young. Only Mike Mann in there right now is a senior. And he, in effect, would be the second-team quarterback. It's 3rd down and 8. Van fading to the end zone, throwing, and nearly intercepted at the 14-yard line by Ron Middleton. Middleton was the intended receiver. Roger Sibold was the man who came over, and Sibold nearly picked it off. The erstwhile quarterback, as Alonzo Johnson put the pressure on Van. So So they force him to punt deep in the end zone.
Strange call that deep in their own territory, because Pat Dye, coach of Auburn, is essentially a very conservative coach and someone who believes very strongly in field possession concepts.
Lewis Colbert, who was born with a club foot, he feels that helps his punting, helps him control the ball better. From Phoenix City, Alabama, a junior. He's averaging 39.4, standing at the back of the end zone. Florida tries to set up a return. It's a good, high, spiraling, and deep kick taken by Natil, who leads the nation at the 45. He circles back and takes it to the 48-yard line. First down there after a 49-yard punt. So still no score. Let's get a report from New York and Jim Lampley.
All right, Alan, you mentioned South Carolina's comeback win over North Carolina State. Let's recite a few of the facts. The Gamecocks scored 25 points in the fourth quarter with backup supreme Mike Hold at quarterback, the winning touchdown, a Thomas Dendy 6-yard run with 50 seconds to go. It was set up by a hold pass, and you'll see the Gamecocks next week here on ABC Sports against Florida State. Back to Al Michaels.
Okay, Jim, no score from the 48-yard line. Florida with the football, their second possession. Pitch goes back to the tailback, Neil Anderson, who takes it ahead down to the 47-yard line for a gain of 5. It'll be second down and 5.
So the Gators start in excellent field position this time, and in talking with Galen Hall yesterday, it's one of the things that he believes in very strongly. He said he learned field position concepts and also play calling concepts, mostly from Coach Joe Paterno when he was at Penn State. However, Paterno at that time was an assistant coach to Rip Engel.
Penn State involved in a game today against Boston College. We'll keep you abreast of that one. Fake, and Bell and flips it out. Nice touch to the 36-yard line. The catch by John L. Williams. Kerwin Bell with good poise and a nice pass to John L. Williams. Just floated it over the linebacker, and John L. makes his 12th reception of the season. First down.
This is why I think Kerwin Bell is going to be an excellent quarterback, because exactly what Al Michaels just told you. He threw that ball with a nice soft touch and a looping trajectory over the head of the linebacker. He's shown you so far that he can drill it and he can touch it. 3 of 4 now for 42 yards.
First down, Florida at the 36-yard line. Under 8 minutes now to play in the quarter with no score. Through the middle, and a nice hole for Neil Anderson. Down to the 28-yard line for a gain of 8. Neil Anderson, 213-pound junior out of Graceville, Florida. They have Anderson and Hampton and John L. Williams, and also with Hampton hurt a couple of weeks back when they played Cincinnati, a fellow by the name of James Massey stepped into the lineup, a sophomore, and he gained better than 100 yards. So they're very deep in the backfield.
Tailback trio. Good one.
Second down, call it 3. Ball at the 29-yard line. They put Odom in motion, and it's a first down for John L. Williams as he takes the ball down to the 23-yard line.
Spinning, twisting, driving was that man right there, John L. Williams. We told you about his quick feet. The fact that in addition to being a good nuts and bolts fullback, he also has big play capabilities, and you saw moments ago that he's also been very effective as a receiver. He had caught 11 passes coming into today's game for 147 yards.
First and 10 from the 23-yard line. Again, the tailback, Anderson, nothing doing. Stopped at the 23-yard line, met there by Harold Holman, who leads the team in tackles, a junior from Macon, Georgia. And they say he's the strongest man on the team, number 94, the nose guard for the Tigers.
He has speed, he has strength, and he had 92 tackles coming into the game today. So they think the strength of their team defensively is along the front wall.
Second down, 10. Florida Gators at the Auburn 23-yard line. Still overcast, clearing a bit though. No rain. Haven't had any rain for the last 90 minutes or so. Fake draw, Bell back, a lot of time, and a man wide open at the 11-yard line, and a first down there. Down to the 10-yard line. Frankie Neal, number 21, making the catch. Let's go downstairs and check in with Lynn Swan. Lynn?
Well, so far during the ball game, it has not rained, and that means that the field is in pretty good shape.
obviously drier in the middle. Right now, though, I think the major important fact is that whether or not Bo Jackson will play in this ball game. It's a big ball game with Florida moving the ball very well down the field. Coach Dye is going to need everything he can to keep his ball club in this game, which means an emotional lift that Bo Jackson can bring to the team. Al?
Thank you, Lynn. Florida's only had the ball, or Auburn's only had the ball for 3 plays in the first 10 minutes as the Gators are knocking on the door again, and Williams gets bunched up at the 10-yard line. So this is the second good Florida drive. The first ended in a fumble. Auburn unable to move. They had to kick it away, and the Gators are knocking on the door again with 5:22 remaining in the first period.
Kerwin Bell now 4 of 5 in the passing department for 54 yards. He threw a pass yesterday perfectly to our colleague Lynn Swan, who was challenged in practice by cornerback Ricky Eastman. And Swanee still got it. He ran that sideline cut beautifully.
It was a great scene. The entire squad gathered around. Eastman looked like he was going to do a little bump and run at first, then backed off, but Swanee was still there to make the play.
I guess once you got it, you never lose it, right?
Absolutely. That's another timeout, though, taken by Florida. They've had to use 2 timeouts. 2 of their allotted 3 already. 4:53 to go. First period. Still no score in Gainesville.
Ready to drink Coca-Cola. Yeah, whenever you pour a Coca-Cola into a glass right then and there, it's ready to drink. Really, unless you want to make it as sweet as, say, Pepsi. If you did, then you'd have to add some sweetener. You'd have to spoon it. You'd have to stir it up, then drink it, because Pepsi's sweeter. See, that's the beauty of Coke. The only thing you have to do to make a perfect Coca-Cola is pour it. Maybe add some ice. Ready to drink Coca-Cola now.
Coke is it.
You never know when the weather's going to turn on you, do you? That's why Michelin developed the XA4 all-season tire. The XA4 is as good in the snow as a snow tire, as good out of the snow as a great handling highway tire. And with proper care, its unique all-weather tread lasts up to 60,000 miles. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
4 minutes and 53 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Florida Field in Gainesville. Al Michaels with Lee Grosscup and Lynn Swan. Southeastern Conference battle. 2 hot teams, with Florida coming in having won 5 straight after starting the year with a loss and a tie, and Auburn, after 2 losses up front, has won 6 straight. 2nd and 10 from the 11. Bell back to Platt, looking McDonald's way, under pressure, gets rid of it, and it's incomplete. And if this game were being played at Auburn, they'd be calling for grounding. Kevin Green put the pressure on.
Kerwin Bell, a good drop-back passer, throws most effectively in the pocket, but the best way to take that away is just like this. Kevin Green, number 90, on the blind side, applying the pressure. He leads the team in sacks. That was a smart throw there by Kerwin Bell, who's now 4 of 6 in the passing department for 54 yards. Shows a lot of poise for a redshirt freshman.
Ball right on the 10-yard line. They can get a first down without a touchdown. They'd have to get to about the half-yard line to do that. It's 3rd down here. 3rd and call it 9.5 to be precise. As Bell rolls, throws for the corner of the end zone, and incomplete. Intended for Frankie Neal on the far side. Covering on the play was Jonathan Robinson.
Frankie Neal, the big play man, number 20, who has number 21, who has a 26-yard average. There is the infraction, or what should have been an infraction, by Jonathan Robinson, number 32. No flag.
And that means a field goal attempt coming up here for one of the best in the nation, Bobby Raymond, who is almost automatic from this spot. Ball at the 16, 26-yard field goal, nearly straight on. He's 22 of 23, less than 40 yards. And that one is good. So 2 good drives for Florida. Still, Auburn has to feel a little good about it, in the sense that Florida's been able to pretty much march at will, and yet Auburn's only given up 3 points. 4:36 to play in the quarter as the Gators get on the board and lead 3-0. Galen Hall, the interim coach at the University of Florida, and we talked to him yesterday about his present situation. Here's what he said.
Well, the only thing that I've been told whenever I did take this position, I asked for a chance at the head coaching position, and they said they would give me that chance. And as far as an interview or something set up yet, I haven't had that. But we're just going to wait and see what happens.
He's a very unassuming man, and I suppose you might be too, where you named an interim coach. He has not even moved into the head coach's office. When he came here from Oklahoma as an assistant coach, he was given an office, a rather austere-looking office. He has kept that. Meanwhile, the old Charlie Pell office is still vacant. Kickoff is taken down at the 5-yard line by the Tigers' Arthur Johnson, who gets banged down at the 16 by Lindsey Smith, number 28. Big hit.
The tail end of the last play, you're going to see Arthur Johnson, number 40, getting a real hit on James Massey there.
And Lindsey Smith both. Massey the first man to get him, and then Smith the second. First down for Auburn from the 16-yard line. And Bo Jackson is in the game. He is the right halfback. So a man thought to be out for the season is back in for the first time since mid-September. And Mike Mann, the quarterback, taking it out to the 24-yard line. Well, there's no way that Bo Jackson can win the Heisman Trophy now because he's missed too much of the year. And he was just in for that one play to test the waters, so to speak. But he's a man who can still do a lot of damage with plenty of the season remaining.
6'1", 220 pounds. He runs a 4.240, has high jump 6'10", and has been drafted for professional baseball.
Second down and 3. And they give it to Collis Campbell, and that doesn't fool the Florida defense. Campbell, number 38, is racked up by Alonzo Mintz and Ricky Williams. Texas Tech 3-0 leading Texas in the second quarter. BYU third in the nation. An easy time of it thus far with Texas El Paso. Nebraska an easy time of it so far. We told you about South Carolina. Miami was a 15-point winner. Georgia third quarter non-conference game 10 over Memphis State. And Maryland beat North Carolina in Chapel Hill. Third and 3. Fake, and then the pitch to the right side, and a first down by Brent Fullwood, number 22, who steps out at the 30-yard line. In the absence of Bo Jackson, they've had people like Fullwood, 22, Campbell, 38, Tommy Agee, 30, Reggie Ware, the freshman, 36, Kyle Collins, 23, Ed Graham has seen some action, Tim Jesse, 25, scored a couple of touchdowns against Mississippi State. So Pat Dye has a lot of people who can carry the ball.
And because of that, he will utilize the concept of fresh backs. They will be running backs in and out throughout the afternoon. And, of course, the wide receivers bring in the plays.
Bo Jackson is back in. He's the right half, number 34, for his second play, but he's not involved in this one as it goes through the fingers of Trey Gaines, number 19. Second and 10 upcoming. Well, how about Virginia? Stopping West Virginia by 20. Oklahoma State leading in the third. So you're up to date on the top 10. Neither of these teams is in the top 10, but overall, it's probably the best matchup in the country today. They're both in the second 10 and a lot at stake here. Second down and 10. Straight up the middle goes Tommy Agee for a gain of a couple. Under 3 minutes to go now in the quarter. Gators on top, 3-0. It's been a fierce rivalry, but not the kind where you can say there's been bad blood for years, Lee, but over the past few years with controversial calls and some away from the play shenanigans, a lot of off-field activity and things that have been written and said in the newspapers, it's become an intense rivalry.
I would say in the last 4 years, very, very intense.
And a rivalry in recent times dominated by home teams. The home team has won the last 8. Back to pass and complete by Mann. It is a fumble if it's ruled a completion. So a loose ball at the 48-yard line, and the Gators have it. It was ruled a completed pass, and it's Jarvis Williams, the cornerback, who recovers the fumble that was dropped by Clayton Buford after he'd made the catch, which would have given Auburn a first down.
Man to Buford. on the pass. Play action left, looks back to his right. Buford on a curl-in route. The hit by number 24, Knight. And the fumble recovery by number 26, Jarvis Williams in the secondary for the Gators.
Florida has it at the 48-yard line. 2:16 to play in the quarter. Gators lead 3-0.
I remember hearing somebody say I was dead. I thought about Janice and Bobby. Who'd take care of them now?
He's coming back.
He's all right now.
I got a second chance to do all those things I meant to do.
At Prudential, we know most of us don't get a second chance. Talk to a Prudential agent and get the peace of mind that comes with a piece of the rock.
I did.
Get a piece of the rock. Prudential Life Insurance.
Today, it's not at all rare for drivers to keep their cars for 10 years or longer. It's also not at all rare for 10-year-old BMWs to retain more than 90% of their original value. Which leads us to the BMW 318i. One of the best reasons for buying it is because someday you might want to sell it.
Monday Night Football, the tough Atlanta Falcons take on the Washington Redskins, who are battling for a playoff spot in a heated division race. Live at 9 Eastern on ABC.
ABC Sports, home of Super Bowl 19, to be played at Stanford Stadium in Palo Alto. Florida 3 and Auburn nothing. Talking about bowls, both these teams are thinking about the Sugar Bowl. Lorenzo Hampton and John L. Williams are the running backs in this set, and it's Williams carrying it to the 45-yard line. Of course, Georgia has a lot to say about who's going to win the Southeastern Conference. Next week they'll take on Florida, and they've got an upcoming confrontation with Auburn, and the LSU Tigers are saying, now wait a second, what about us? We're unbeaten as well. So it's a good scramble in the SEC, and of course, as we talked about it at the outset of the telecast, Florida not only involved in an on-the-field attempt to win the conference title, but all of what's happening away from the field as well. Wouldn't that be ironic, of course, if Florida were to win the conference championship for the first time ever and then have a Sugar Bowl opportunity taken away because of the violations? Remains to be seen. Hampton takes it to the 39-yard line and close to a first down. He comes up a little short. Should be 3rd and 1.
Well, as we said at the top of the show, some teams can turn adversity to advantage. I mentioned the Los Angeles Raiders as a team that does that in professional football. As we look at some of the other scores around the country, I think that Galen Hall maybe has established that same kind of a rhythm here. Say, whatever's going on off the field, forget it. Go play football and have some fun.
In a way, they've been living it for so long, some of these guys have really become immune to it. It is Hampton who is stopped at the 43-yard line, as on a 3rd and 1 they came back to the short side of the field, and John Daly, number 96, took him down. Just in visiting with some of the Florida players, and we talked to them at the Gator Bowl last year as well, Lee, they said that we've been living with this day after day after day, reading about it and hearing about it. We've really become pretty much immune to the entire situation. This is Dave Nardoni, who is the coffin corner specialist. A low kick right down the middle. It's fielded at the 13-yard line by Trey Gaines, and he comes back out to the 26. So Nardoni, who's made a habit of kicking the ball into the coffin corner, gets off a low line drive kick that is taken back out to the 26-yard line. National telecast next week, 3:30 Eastern is the starting time. South Carolina going in unbeaten against the Seminoles of Florida State.
My old New York Giant teammate Joe Morrison has those guys scratching and clawing. I'm telling you, that South Carolina team is transformed with Joe.
First down from the 26-yard line. Tigers operate from the familiar wishbone, and it is man keeping it after faking through the middle. Stopped by Alonzo Johnson, number 93, a junior from Springfield, Florida. 2nd down and 10. And that will do it for the quarter. So we've played one period at Florida Field in Gainesville, and the Gators lead at the break 3-0 over Auburn.
There's a style in your life no one could ever deny. You're on your way to the top, and along the way you've always known just who you are. Where you're going, you've always known it. Where you're going, it's make a love.
Where you're going, it's exceptionally smooth Michelob.
Where you're going, it's make a love.
This year, 1 out of every 6 cars will need to have its brakes repaired. That's why at Midas, we offer a free brake inspection. If your car needs work, you know it's being done by experts. 500,000 people a year have their brakes fixed at Midas, and we're glad to have the business. But more important, we appreciate the trust.
Trust the Midas touch.
Got my first job, my first apartment, and my first Zenith. Pretty smart, huh? Especially because my Zenith came with a factory rebate. Not bad, eh?
Right now, Zenith's offering a $50 rebate on 25-inch System 3 consoles, $75 and $100 rebates on Advanced System 3, the smart sets.
I'm getting $100 back.
Get your factory rebate now, direct from Zenith.
Now I think I'll buy a chair.
No other heat gun removes paint faster than the Wagner Power Stripper. The Power Stripper is faster on latex, faster on oil. The Power Stripper gives you 2 temperature settings and a range of tips to give you versatility few heat guns can match. The new Wagner Power Stripper. It's the perfect tool for taking paint off from the people who know so much about putting it on. Wagner, the right tool for painting.
We start the second quarter in Gainesville. Al Michaels with Lee Groscup and Lynn Swan, and Auburn has the football at its own 26-yard line. Second down and 10. Gators on top, 3-0. That's Middleton setting up on the right side, and out of the wishbone, it's the quick pitch to Brent Fullwood, taking it out to the 30-yard line for a gain of 4. And let's take a look at the numbers through the first quarter.
One of the things I think you'll find interesting here is that in passing yardage, Auburn had 17 yards, but that 17 yards was costly because on that very play they fumbled. So you see there that Florida has pretty much dominated the first quarter statistically.
Time of possession better than 2-1, but they still lead only 3-0. It is 3rd down and 6, and that is Bo Jackson in a slot and in motion. And the handoff going to Tommy Agee, and he is short of the first down. Pulled down at the 34-yard line as the Gator defense is doing a very good job at the outset of the game. More Eagles are coming in, but they've been unable to do very much offensively, and they're forced to punt again.
One of the key players has been Tim Newton for Florida. He is the nose guard. He's working there against Tamburello. And, you know, he's a guy who started out as a 220-pound linebacker and has now blown himself up to 280 pounds and is playing the nose guard position and playing it well.
Lewis Colbert to punt. This is a wobbly spinning kick that is down at the 34-yard line. Florida taking over there as they head north to south this time. 13:35 remaining in the first half.
My family gave me Radio Shack's portable Model 100 computer for Christmas last year. 5 built-in programs, including telephone communications. And this Christmas, it's on sale. A super gift for my son. He can take notes at college. And one for my wife, for the household budgeting. And maybe one for, nice computer. They're on sale at Radio Shack.
Save $200 now on the Model 100 portable computer, only at Radio Shack.
Ladies and gentlemen, the new 1985 Colts from Japan. Colts represent automotive quality. Konnichiwa. Sayonara. Like the economical Colt 3-door, the stylish new 4-door sedan, the exciting Turbo, the versatile Colt Vista.
The new 1985 Colts. Imported for Dodge and Plymouth. Built by Mitsubishi in Japan. Colt. It's all the Japanese you need to know.
Kerwin Bell freshman quarterback, still playing without a scholarship. I asked him yesterday if his success has surprised him.
No, sir. That's the reason I come here. I had confidence in myself and what I could do. It's just a matter, if I got a chance to play and got a break here or there, and I got that, and I have been a little surprised, with our team's success and with me, and where I stand nationally in the passing efficiency. So it has been, a little surprise.
Kerwin Bell, who grew up on a tobacco and chicken farm 63 miles southeast of Gainesville, led Mayo High School to the state championship, and right now leading the Gators to a 1st and 10 from the 34-yard line. Fake to Anderson. Bell back. Bell's going deep. Bell throwing over the middle. Just too long. Out of the reach of Ricky Nattil, number 89. But Bell's showing us he's got a good, strong arm.
Protection is always a key for a quarterback. Watch the work of Phil Bromley, the center, who has been one of the most consistent performers along that front five. He's working on Hallman there, number 94. Of course, the big story on him last year was that he broke his right hand and had to snap left-handed the rest of the year, including the Gator Bowl game.
Tough guy. Good night for the Gators there. They beat Iowa, you'll recall, and Chuck Long 14-6. 2nd down and 10. Moving ahead is Neil Anderson for a couple of yards. Ben Thomas making the tackle. Wayne Peace was the quarterback here for a long time. Had a great career. Now playing with Tampa Bay in the United States Football League. At one point in his career here, he made the cover of Sports Illustrated. Wayne is in town, in fact, at the game today and cheering on the Gators.
Well, we saw him last night. In fact, I saw him during the USFL season. He plays now for the Tampa Bay Bandits, along with John Reeves. And, of course, Steve Spurrier is the coach, so they have 3 generations of Florida quarterbacks there.
3rd down and 8. Gators from the 36-yard line as Bell drops back to pass. His protection breaks down. He goes down, and we also have a penalty marker. Kevin Green and Harold Hallman applied the coup de grace as the protection broke down, but let's see about the marker at the 35.
Holding, offense, decline.
Naturally after a sack. So that's Auburn's best defensive showing of the game so far. And it comes with 12:35 to play in the half. And the Gators are forced to punt.
Green and Hallman are an effective tandem. Green leading in sacks, Hallman leading in tackles.
Ray Criswell to kick and Trey Gaines back deep. Now Criswell kicks from his own territory. We saw Nardoni earlier, the Coffin corner specialist. That one was very nearly blocked. It's a line drive kick. Gaines takes it at the 39, escapes a couple of tackles, gets spun around and rolled out of bounds on the soggy turf at the 43-yard line. Arthur Johnson forced him out. So for Auburn, after the 42-yard kick, it's a 1st down upcoming with 12:23 to go to the half.
When your car starts acting up, it's really trying to tell you something. What it's saying is, take me to Goodyear. Goodyear Auto Service can add years to the life of your car because Goodyear knows your car from the ground up.
My Goodyear technicians can do everything from scheduled maintenance to most emergency repairs. And I've got this, the name you can trust for auto service.
Goodyear tires and auto service for more good years in your car.
Jim Lampley again in New York. We told you earlier about the Texas jinx at Lubbock during presidential election years. They've lost their every presidential election year except 1972, going back to 68. It's 10-0, Texas Tech over Texas at halftime. The Longhorns had only 51 yards total offense in the first half. Back to Al Michaels.
Well, we saw Texas last week, and they struggled but won. They've been living a charmed life, have the Longhorns, but that may come to an end today. We'll keep you abreast. Florida leads Auburn 3-0, 12:23 remaining. We're in the first half at Florida Field in Gainesville, where the sun is trying to break through after a very rainy morning. And Pat Washington comes in at quarterback in place of the starter Mike Mann. Washington, who's been hurt, goes right back to pass on his first play and throws over the middle to Wigand for a first down at the 40. The freshman Freddie Wigand, who has great speed, great moves out of Gadsden, Alabama, has made a reception in every game this year, and that's number 28. He's leading the team by a bunch.
Wigand, although he's listed as a third stringer, is the best receiver on the team. He's compared often to Terry Beasley, who set passing, receiving records here in the late 60s, early 70s, catching passes from Pat Sullivan.
Washington out of the wishbone from the 40-yard line and straight ahead. Tommy Agee for a gain of 1. We talked with Washington yesterday. He has been out because of a hamstring pull and also a shoulder problem. He said the hamstring was the bigger problem, but he felt okay. Thought that he would probably start today as the other scores roll by, but it was Mann starting and now Washington in. But it's his first action in 3 weeks.
Washington probably has more overall talent than Mann. He's a better passer, a little bit faster.
And time called right now, number 52 for the Florida Gators, shaken up on the play, Ricky Williams, who normally backs up Newton at the nose guard slot. Minor problem, obviously, and off he comes. Second down and 8. Auburn at the Gator 39. Been their deepest penetration. Handoff, first man through again is Tommy Agee, 5'11", 210. He's Agee, a sophomore, and Alonzo Mintz makes the tackle. Again, they've got Bo Jackson in the game. That has been the case now on a couple of series, but we have yet to see Bo carry the ball. There he is.
So far, Bo has been merely a distraction.
It's a pretty good distraction, isn't it?
That's a good distraction to have in the game. It reminds me of when O.J. Simpson was a rookie in professional football. They used him as somewhat of a distraction that year in Buffalo.
It will get the attention of the defense. Matter of time, though, before he gets the ball. Maybe it's here. Let's see. Nope. They're going to pitch it out to Tim Jesse, and a great defensive play by Alonzo Johnson. He leads the team in tackles, and he'll add another one right there, number 93. Good lateral movement, stopping Jesse for a loss, forcing Auburn to give up the football.
Obvious comparison, Alonzo Johnson, of course Jesse in on the tackle too. Johnson compared often to the great Wilbur Marshall, who you covered last year in the Gator Bowl.
Good year for the Gators last season. Finished in the top 10. This year they're trying to duplicate the feat. They lead here 3-0. Colbert to kick for Auburn. Natil, the nation's leading punt returner, back at the 10. Colbert would like to kick it away from him, and does, and a good angle kick. That's a fine kick. Out of bounds at the 7-yard line. So the Gators will begin the next drive deep in their own territory. We have 9:56 remaining in the period. 3-0 Florida.
I'm Mr. Goodwrench. You know what starts when your engine starts? Engine wear.
50 strokes, 100 strokes, 200 piston strokes of wear per second. Only a fine lubricant can protect it. Like GM Goodwrench Motor Oil, the motor oil from General Motors that meets or exceeds all GM specifications.
Great protection from me, Mr. Goodwrench.
To keep that great GM feeling with genuine GM parts.
People tend to confuse me with the roles I play, which is ridiculous because I'm not a neat freak. For example, I just got a Beta Zoom copier from Minolta, but not because I can add toner without getting that disgusting black powder all over my hands. No, I got a Minolta Beta Zoom because it takes this mess of different size originals and gives back copies in one neat size automatically. But that doesn't make me a neat freak. Of course, I'm not a slob either, like
The Beta Zoom copiers, only from the mind of Minolta.
A golden night as U.S. Olympic boxing medalists make their pro debut. Breland, Whitaker, Taylor, Holyfield, and Biggs, Thursday night, November 15th, live on ABC.
Alonzo Johnson, number 93 for the Florida Gators. Man leading the team in tackles. Made the play on third down to set up that punt. Florida takes over at their own 7-yard line. There it is graphically, November 15th, Madison Square Garden, which should be full that night. He will not charge admission, but enough people will get the tickets to fill up the Garden, and Breland and Whitaker, Taylor, Holyfield, and Biggs all make their pro debuts. First down for Florida from the 7-yard line. Deepest that Florida has been pinned. That's John L. Williams spinning out of trouble. Out past the 15, the 20, and John L. is running about the 33-yard line. Very much as if to emphasize what Lee Grosskopf talked about before, there's always a tendency to think of that fullback in the eye as being the short yardage man, and here's a guy who can turn short yardage into a big play.
That's exactly what we were talking about, the quick feet, the elusive quality that Williams has. He at times looks more like a halfback than a fullback. A little juke step there. Traverses back to the outside. Finally run out of bounds.
He's already picked up 51 yards on 7 carries. Got 25 there, out to the 32, and Hampton gets taken down by number 96, John Daly.
So in Anderson, Hampton, and Williams, they have perhaps the most effective trio in running backs that they have had in recent years.
Those three, and we mentioned James Massey, number 42, who filled in so capably against Cincinnati. Florida, a team having won 5 in a row through a great ground game. Also benefiting last week. They were off. They were able to get healed. And meanwhile, Pat Dye talking about how tired his team is playing on the road 4 out of 5 now. Second down and 10 from the 32-yard line. Hampton out past the 35, takes it out to the 40-yard line where he's stopped by Greg Carr. Number 54 and Art Johnson came up to help as well.
Number 54, Greg Carr, who is really the embodiment of what we call a student athlete. Number 54 right there, wards off a blocker, and then with perfect balance, a nice low center of gravity, gets in on the tackle there, stopping Lorenzo Hampton, number 7, along the sideline.
Third down, about 2.5 here, just outside the 39-yard line. Pitch it to the sole remaining back, Williams. He's looking for room, and he tries to slither ahead. Don't think so. Don't think he got it. Carr and Arthur Johnson were there for the stop. He has to move out just shy of the 42, and I don't believe he got there.
Again, watch the work of Greg Carr, the linebacker, number 54. He's 6'2", 215 pounds. He has the size you like, the quick feet, and again gets in on the tackle. This time on John L. Williams, the fullback. So on successive plays, we've seen Carr with lateral movement to his left and then to his right.
I may change my tune after looking at this spot. I didn't think he got it. It's going to be extremely close. I mean, very close. And it's that close, in fact, that he did not make it. So the Gators at the 42-yard line, ahead 3-0, and here comes Galen Hall's first major decision of the game, and he has indicated they're going to go for it, which is a very risky call in a low-scoring game. Dominated pretty much by, well, you can't really say dominated by the defense, but 3-0 will tell you how close it is. And if you give up the ball here to Auburn, it's liable to change the whole complexion of the game.
Uncharacteristic of Galen Hall, but I agree with his call.
4th down and inches, and look at this set. And you've got, well, Bell all of a sudden had everybody lined up not to his liking, and is forced to take, of all things, a timeout. That's the one thing he did not want to do at this particular point. He's very upset about it. That's their final timeout. They've used all 3. We'll take a spot here with 7:40 to go in the half. 3-0 Florida.
There's a time in life for the young to say, I want something else, a different way. The town's the same, but people too. School is over, need something to do. The services have it, it'll really show. You'll see new places, you'll really grow in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Challenge, adventure, excitement too, a time to enjoy and see something new. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. You'll work hard, feel really free, serving your country for all to see in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Be part of a team, be friends forever. A part of the services you won't forget ever. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. It's a great place to start.
Last year, Sears tuned up 1 million engines, performed more than 1 million brake repairs, installed over 3 million shocks, sold upwards of 9 million tires, and replaced more batteries than anyone else in America. At Sears, we install confidence. And best of all, we do it right next door to all this.
It's not for your life, it's not for your
who coached under Barry Switzer for 11 years, had elected to go for it, but then they took the timeout, and now Bell is coming back, and he is sent in the punting unit. So while they called the time...
Kerwin Bell was one upset quarterback.
It was an odd formation in a short yardage situation. He left himself with a soul back, and the snap goes over the head of Criswell all the way back into the end zone, where he finally gets rid of the ball, and that's a great kick under the circumstances. That is a terrific play by Criswell to turn disaster into a great situation.
Into an average punt? That's amazing. That's one of the most amazing recoveries I have ever seen by a punter. Ray Criswell, number 13. We talked about turning adversity to advantage. Watch this. Walter Bird is in pursuit. Well, the snap is over his head by Bird. Now watch this. Look how quick he gets turned around and unloads here from his own end zone and turns what should have been a huge loss into an average punt. Actually, he nets 16 yards on what should have been about a 40-yard loss. Amazing play.
Great play. From the 44-yard line on first down, it is Bo Jackson carrying the football for the first time since September. And he takes it out to the 46. For a gain of 2, Alonzo Johnson and Ron Moten making the tackle. That's one of those things where the only place Criswell gets hurt is in his average.
Watch the pursuit of Alonzo Johnson, number 93, on the first carry of Bo Jackson. Bo's trying to get around the left side on the power pitch play, which is their bread and butter play out of the broken bone.
Break the bone again, give it to Bo again, and this time Bo turns it on, and Bo takes the ball to the 46-yard line, and I think has the first down, depending on the spot. Going to be close.
That's the kind of play that could get Auburn real excited. You see there the 1984 Sugar Bowl MVP. We talked about his size and speed. It's unbelievable that a man weighing 222 pounds could run the 40-yard dash in 4.2, high jump 6 feet 10 inches.
And a first down at the 46-yard line. I'm sure most people around the country will be shocked to find out that Bo Jackson is playing today. It was a pretty well kept secret. From the 46-yard line, Washington throwing and completes it to Wagan, who slips down at the 28-yard line. Freddie Wagan makes his second catch of the day. Ricky Eastman was covering.
Ricky Eastman, the man who was covering our colleague Lynn Swan in practice yesterday, is covering Freddie Wagan here. And Freddie, the leading receiver on the team, runs a sideline cut. Eastman is left behind by a yard or so, and that ball was thrown perfectly by Washington.
First down, Tigers at the 28-yard line. Washington to Jackson, and he is stopped. Number 25, Jesse, was trying to lay a block down and couldn't, and Ricky Eastman busted up the play.
This is exactly what Florida wanted to do. Slow play the option. String out the option. Force the quarterback to come further down the line. You see how everybody is in perfect position there. And it's Ricky Eastman, number 8, who comes up to make the first hit on Bo Jackson, number 34. That's one of the things Galen Hall told us yesterday. Of course, he's very familiar with this wishbone. He likes the formation very much, but he also knows how to defense it. He lived with it for years at Oklahoma.
Strangely enough, even though it was his bread and butter, the wishbone was one of the reasons that Hall left Oklahoma. He felt he was getting branded as a wishbone coach, that other job opportunities would be limited, and he wanted to go to a school away from the bone. So he came here as an assistant, and when they let Pell go in September, he took over as the interim head coach. Second and 13 as Washington pitches it back to Campbell, who goes down at the 32-yard line. Ricky Eastman made the stop again. You didn't really see it there, but Campbell's pretty good back.
Another look at the great linebacker Alonzo Johnson, who's trying to break some of the records set by Wilbur Marshall. He strings out the play, forces the pitch right there. Collis Campbell who gets the pitch. From the end zone, you get a better look at the play of Johnson. You see he's in perfect position, has a nice low center of gravity. And that forces a bad pitch right there. Ricky Eastman comes up very quickly on the corner.
3rd down and 14, and Washington gets smoked as he gets rid of it. Intended for Campbell, but the rush was on. Adrian White, blitz, number 2, came storming through, and Washington had no chance at all.
And when there is smoke, there is what?
A little bit of fire and also a little bit of sunshine. Florida field as the sun has finally come out. It's breezy, though. It's pretty comfortable, all things considered, at the moment. Temperature near 60 degrees, and Auburn's going to attempt a game-tying field goal. Robert McGinty, who won last week's game against Mississippi State, will attempt a 49-yard field goal at an angle. The kick is good. Just barely long enough. His long had been 46 yards this season, and this one is 49. So McGinty has tied the game. We're tied up 3-3 with 4:45 remaining in the first half, and right now let's pay a visit to both campuses of Auburn and Florida.
Auburn University is on the move, making a difference in the lives of the people of Alabama. Much of the momentum is provided by the Auburn Generations Fund, a capital campaign expected to reach $68 million by year's end. The most successful campaign ever attempted in the South by a public university. That success demonstrates the support and loyalty of Auburn's alumni, the confidence of corporate and private interests in the university's educational programs, and a willingness to make an investment to help one of the South's finest institutions reach its full potential. Auburn University is on the move.
I'm Marshall Kreiser, president of the University of Florida, where a student can be anything he or she wants to be.
A doctor.
A lawyer.
A grower of beef.
A broadcaster.
An actor. A high technology chief.
And in addition to teaching, the University of Florida provides unlimited services to the state, whether it's for business, industry, agriculture, tourism, medicine, the arts, or the environment. The University of Florida is a statewide resource dedicated to the future of Florida.
Symbol of the state of Florida and this football team, the Gator, and something you're likely to see outside of Gross Cup's hotel room from time to time as well. Tied 3-3, Auburn kicking to the Gators. 5-yard line, taken there by Natil. Good speed up past the 30. Down he goes at the 33-yard line, and let's get a word from Lynn Swan.
Well, Al, one of the keys so far in the first half has been that the offensive line of the University of Miami has just been much more aggressive, getting back on key matchups on the linebackers. They're getting off the ball faster. They're getting downfield. Now, Auburn has been stringing it out successfully on just a few plays. If they continue to do that, John L. Williams might break another big one for a touchdown. And, of course, Kerwin Bell has been pinpointing passes down the field.
Florida with the football at the 33-yard line, and Bell gives on a delay to John L. Williams. No gain. 2nd down and 10. 4.5 to go in the first half. Game tied 3-3. Two teams with winning streaks coming in. Gators having won 5 straight, 5-1-1 their mark, and Auburn, the preseason #1 pick by many, 6-2, having won 6 straight. Having won those 6 after they lost Bo Jackson, who is back in the game today. 2nd down and 10. Kerwin Bell, the freshman, throwing to Neil Anderson. Anderson looking for that first down and charges forward to the 44, and a first down for the Gators. Greg Carr and Tom Powell converged for the tackle.
Lomas Brown is considered the premier offensive lineman that the Gators have, and one of the outstanding offensive linemen in the country. He's rated a possible first-round draft pick by many of the professional scouts. He has the size you like and also knows how to use his body.
from the 44-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Gators. Bell, protection breaks down, and he gets hit as he throws. Gerald Robinson putting the pressure on. Robinson, 6'4", 248-pound junior, who leads the team with 7 sacks, a second-team all-conference pick right there, number 95, the man who busted that play up.
After a fast start, Kerwin Bell, who was 4 of 5 in the passing department at one time, is now 5 of 10 for 65 yards. So he slowed down here a little bit in the second quarter.
2nd and 10. Play fake, going deep, and almost caught. Ricky Nattiel was down there with Alvin Briggs. They really like to, the opposition, pick on Briggs, the sophomore from Greenville, Alabama, but he just did get turned around in time.
Ricky Nattiel in isolation is working on Alvin Briggs on the corner. He has a step on him momentarily. Had this ball been thrown a little longer into the outside, he might have had a chance, but the coverage is pretty effective there by Briggs. He's really step for step with Ricky Nattiel, who is a burner.
3rd down and 10. Gators at the 44-yard line. 3:22 to go, first half. Tied 3-3. And look out as Bell goes down, and that's Gerald Robinson. And another sack. 2 today for him. 9 on the season. And the Gators are forced to give up the football. This game turning out to be much in the manner as predicted by several of the players to whom we spoke yesterday. Most of the guys didn't feel we were going to see any sort of a shootout or wide open game or high scoring game. Everybody was talking in terms of 13-10, 14-10, something along those lines. We're 3-3 right now. Criswell's kick fielded by Gaines, who makes a fair catch at the 25-yard line. So Auburn, with all of its timeouts left, should they so elect to utilize them, will have the football with 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining after a 41-yard punt off the foot of Criswell. And the sun coming out after a very rainy and soggy morning. In fact, as we came out to the stadium today, it was pouring in Gainesville, but most of the front has passed through. The field is in good shape. And Auburn has it at the 25. 1st and 10. Option kept by Washington. Gain of 5. 2nd and 5 upcoming.
That's really the definitive wishbone play that you saw right there. It's part 2 of the triple option. Of course, part 1 is where you give to the fullback. Part 2 is where the quarterback keeps himself. And of course, part 3 is where you pitch to the trailing back. That's the play you have to stop to scuttle the bone.
2nd and a long 5 from just inside the 30-yard line. Campbell, big hole, and a first down as Collis Campbell takes it to the 47-yard line. Roger Sibbald, who at one point this year looked like he might be Florida's quarterback and is now a defensive back.
Massive hole up the middle here. Collis Campbell, number 38, gets the ball, and he's got a great hole on the left side. Opened there by Tamburello and Lott, 2 of the key members of that offensive line for Auburn. 17 yards on the pickup.
Clock is running, 1:40. It's a first down with Washington under pressure, throwing and completing it and falling down because he was off balance was Clayton Buford, number 11. But a nice catch, then he lost his balance. Still, it's a big gain as they get to the Gator 33-yard line. Tigers marching.
Clayton Buford, number 11, one of 3 wide receivers who bring the plays in, runs a crossing pattern, and Washington is just perfect as he hits him right on the numbers. And now Auburn has perhaps its best penetration of the day.
And the Tigers will take their first time out. First good sustained Tiger drive. Pat Dye, head coach, and he's become quite popular in Auburn, as would any coach who is able to get a program rolling again. In Alabama, naturally, and I'm not talking about it from an internal viewpoint, but around the country, it's sort of funny. If you look at Alabama from the perspective of the rest of the country in terms of college football, everybody always, for years, naturally, thought about the Crimson Tide and Bear Bryant. Auburn was always the team that was 500. But Pat Dye came down, and, of course, with Bear's retirement, subsequent death, and Perkins taking over, and Alabama having problems now, and all of a sudden Auburn under Dye winning a conference championship and a Sugar Bowl. Well, the perception of football in that state on a national level has really turned around.
Well, Pat Dye has been involved in winning programs at just about every level. High school, college, military, and even the professional ranks in Canada.
First down now from the 33 after the timeout as Washington keeps the ball and gets it to the 29-yard line where Alonzo Mintz and Patrick Miller converge on the tackle.
Pat Dye told us yesterday that even though Bear Bryant is considered the primary influence in his life, having worked under the Bear, he says going back to high school, he picked a lot up from his high school coaches. This seems to be a reoccurring theme among major college coaches, that they will go back to their early origins, high school coaches especially.
On second down and 6, Washington throwing for the end zone, and it is picked off in the end zone by Roger Sybil. With 48 seconds to play in the half, Florida is able to stymie that Auburn drive with an intercept.
The safety man, Roger Sybil, as Clayton Buford, number 11, is trying to get up the seam, starts working back toward the middle. The ball is thrown long and high, and the perfect timing there of Roger Sybil, number 25, the safety man, results in an interception, and a big one for the Gators. Now they have 48 seconds and will decide whether they want to go for it or simply settle for a 3-3 tie going into the locker room.
I would think settle for it. They don't have a timeout. Remember, they've used all 3, so no timeouts from the 20. And on a delay, it could be Auburn that takes a timeout after this play, because it's a loss of 8, and it's Lorenzo Hampton who is stopped back at the 12-yard line. Now, if Auburn wants to take its timeouts on defense, they have 2, but they've indicated no timeout here, so the clock is just running down right now with 29 seconds.
So I think both teams will be willing to settle for a 3-3 tie at halftime.
Roger Sybil's interception, his first of the year. Gators have it 2nd and 17 at their own 13, but that's academic. This is going to be the final play of the half. Straight ahead, that's Williams. That'll run the clock out. So defense prevailing, both teams showing they can move the ball, but neither gets into the end zone. A field goal for each, and at halftime, in what figured to be a very close Southeastern Conference battle, tough rivalry between the Tigers and the Gators, we're tied in Gainesville. At the half, it's Auburn 3, Florida 3. Let's go to Lynn Swan.
Coach Hall, so far in this ball game, the kickers have scored all the points. Much of that is due to field position. Will that be the look the second half also?
Well, hey, hopefully we can get the ball in the end zone the second half. We took the ball down there in our first 2 drives and didn't get any. We came out 3 points. Fumbling the ball on the 3-yard line hurt us. Hopefully we can move the football and score some touchdowns this half.
Your offensive line and your defensive line seem to be playing much more aggressively and getting off the ball faster. Will they continue to do that?
Yes, we will. I mean, we have confidence in both units. We said all along we thought we had a pretty good offensive line. Defensive line is, coming up to the occasion and, stopping a great Auburn team.
Okay, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that's the score here at halftime, 3-3. We'll be right back at this commercial break and a word from our local sponsor.
Hey, Dad, look at Harold's new Japanese car.
Colt? Colt's not a Japanese car.
Sure. Feel how soft the doors are.
Look at the fit. And what a deal I got.
Colt, imported for Dodge and Plymouth, built by Mitsubishi in Japan.
Let's take a spin.
First, take your shoes off.
Why isn't this car called something Japanese?
Colt, it's all the Japanese you need to know.
Sunday Hardcastle's playing judge on TV.
I'm not through here. You can do your commercial later.
And becomes the latest craze.
You're the Michael Jackson of justice.
But he's scripted for murder. Hardcastle and McCormick. Then Burt Reynolds. Woo! Dolly Parton.
Ta-da!
And Charles Durning are breaking all the rules.
Come on over here and give me a little lip lock.
It's the best little whorehouse in Texas. Parental discretion advised. All starting at 8, 7 Central.
Tomorrow. The Prudential Halftime Report is being sponsored by Prudential. For life, health, auto, home, get a piece of the rock. Prudential Insurance.
Hello again, I'm Jim Lampley, and welcome as we get ready to give you as many scores as possible within our limited time. Number 1 ranked Washington made a starting quarterback change today. Paul Sicaro starting in place of Hugh Millen. He's thrown 2 touchdown passes, and the Huskies uncharacteristically offensive today, leading California 20-3 in the first. Second ranked Texas at Lubbock, still in trouble, trailing 10-7 in the third quarter. Significance: if Texas loses, TCU controls its own fate with regard to the Cotton Bowl bid. They play the Longhorns at Fort Worth in 2 weeks. Texas El Paso against Brigham Young, and the third-ranked Cougars lead 21-3 at halftime. Nebraska at Iowa State, and the Huskers lead 44-0 in the fourth quarter. South Carolina, as you've heard, scored 25 points in the fourth quarter with Mike Hold, the reserve in the game at quarterback, came back to beat the Wolfpack 35-28 and remain unbeaten. Miami beat Louisville 38-23. Kozar broke 4 school records, including most touchdown passes in a career. Boston College against Penn State. It's 17-10 now. Nittany Lions in the second quarter. BC just added a field goal. The second Penn State touchdown was almost an accident. A 42-yard pass. You're going to see it go over the hands of an outstretched Boston College defender and into the hands of number 47 for Penn State, who took it in to make it 17-7 Penn State in the second quarter. There was also a long, beautiful run for Ken Bell of BC and a great run by Dozier of Penn State to set up a touchdown. Georgia beat Memphis State 13-3. Kevin Butler had his 71st and 72nd career field goals, and he leads all NCAA players in that category. Virginia upset West Virginia 27-7. Bull Scouts from the Sugar, the Citrus, the Gator, the Peach, and the Fiesta there to look at West Virginia. What they saw is a Cavalier team which hasn't lost since their opening game. Oklahoma State at Kansas State. Cowboys leading 27-6 in the fourth quarter. This is their best start in 39 years. Notre Dame came from behind to beat Navy 18-17. A John Carney field goal from 44 yards with 17 seconds left supported the effort of Alan Pinkett, who had 37 carries, 165 yards, and 2 TDs. Syracuse beat Pitt 13-7, dropping Pitt to 1-7-1. Pitt had 2 yards passing in the first half of that game. Boston University beat Holy Cross 16-12. That strengthens Indiana State's hold on the number 1 ranking in Division I AA. North Carolina fell to Maryland 34-23. The Terps are now 4-0 in the ACC. Clemson, ineligible for the ACC crown, beat Wake Forest 37-14. Georgia Tech got back into the healthy column today, beating Duke 31-3. Virginia Tech has beaten Tulane. It is 13-6, favor Bill Dooley's team. Alabama and Mississippi State, the Tide has come from behind to lead that one, 24-20 in the fourth quarter. Kentucky, trying to bounce back after 2 losses, did so, 31-7 over North Texas State. Wisconsin and Iowa tied at 10-10. Iowa still goes to the Rose Bowl if they beat Michigan State and Minnesota, but they lost Ronnie Harmon with a broken leg today. He's the great running back, and Chuck Long, the quarterback, has at least a bruised knee, maybe worse. Ohio State got well with a 50-7 win over Indiana. Byers played only the first half, 13 carries for 64 yards. Michigan scored 22 points in the fourth quarter, but fell short against Purdue 31-29. They had trailed 24-0 and 24-7. Minnesota at Illinois, 48-3. Illinois winning on homecoming day. Michigan State has beaten Northwestern 27-10. Oklahoma has beaten Missouri 49-7. Danny Bradley returned to the offense. Barry Switzer said that the Sooners couldn't play offense without him, and he led the attack that gained 362 yards on the ground. Colorado beat Oklahoma last week, or I should say Kansas beat Oklahoma last week. Now trail Colorado 24-13 in the third. TCU won again, beating Houston 21-14. I told you about their Cotton Bowl chances. Texas A&M and SMU, Aggies lead 20-7 in the third quarter. New Mexico, Baylor, 31-0 Baylor, third quarter. Oregon, UCLA, 17-3 Oregon in the third quarter. That's the team that gave up 357 yards to Reuben Mays of Washington State last week. Reuben Mays and Washington State lead Oregon State 7-0 in the second quarter. And Cal State Fullerton is 9-0, one of 4 unbeaten, untied teams in the country. They trail Fresno State 14-3 in the second quarter. We'll be back with more halftime for those of you who've been watching Auburn and Florida immediately after these messages.
A little girl was trapped. I had to save her. She made it. I didn't. I thought about my own little girl. Who'd protect her?
He's coming around. Stevie boy, you live to tell about it.
I got a second chance to protect my own as well as others.
At Prudential, we know most of us don't get a second chance. Talk to a Prudential agent and get the peace of mind that comes with a piece of the rock.
We're all safe now.
Get a piece of the rock.
Prudential Life Insurance.
I left the iron plugged in.
You're a beauty.
Well,
you say that every year.
Well, it's
no,
not there.
what's this? Hey.
That's the old iron.
No, the old iron.
Finding out what your homeowner's insurance covers after an accident is too late. Get a Pru review and let a Prudential agent review your coverage.
We're insured.
My jewelry?
It's covered, I think. Maybe it's not.
Be sure of what you're insured for. Get a Pru review.
My new iron. Get a piece of the rock.
Get Prudential's Pru review. It's fast and free.
Hold on. Hey.
There's a special place where a dad can look back and a kid can look ahead together, with lots to see, lots to do, lots to share, and all with the same college spirit that's been running through America's veins since the pigskin first floated across a crisp October Saturday. It's the College Football Hall of Fame in Kings Island, Ohio, and it's something special you won't want to pass up.
Halftime score, Auburn 3, Florida 3. Have a halftime feature for you. Mississippi Valley State. They're averaging better than 64 points a game. Jack Whitaker paid that school a visit.
Ida Bena, Choctaw Indian words for home in the woods. Population, a little over 2,900 people located in Leflore County, Mississippi, on Route 82. 10 miles west on Route 82 is the town of Indianola, which is the hometown of the eminent food critic of the New York Times, Craig Claiborne, and the eminent blues singer, B.B. King. This is the heart of the Mississippi Delta, and cotton is king. But this year in Ida Bena, another king is on the scene that might put this little town on the map. That second king is King football. The Delta Devils of Mississippi Valley State University, playing a wide-open offense, lead the nation in passing and receptions and are outscoring their opponents by 40 points a game. With their no-huddle offense, they are undefeated this season, and two of their leaders are quarterback Willie Satellite Totten, who is averaging 55 passes a game, and receiver Jerry World Rice, who catches passes as easily as most of us catch colds. Jerry explains how they work so well together.
Well, we came here in 81. We got to know each other. And he mostly know my every move, and I know what he is thinking at all time. I guess that's why we have so much success. And whenever he need a big play, you know he can come to me because I come up with the ball.
Knowing that Jerry can catch the ball, no matter who on him or how many defensive backs on him, usually on the big play, we know that we have to go to Jerry, and most of the other receivers, they kind of realize that on big down plays, we have to go to Jerry with it. And I think Jerry be expecting it. He always come up with the big play.
The man responsible for this dramatic turn of events at Mississippi Valley is head coach Archie Gunslinger Cooley, who is concentrated on developing players.
I think the key to Mississippi Valley and the success of Mississippi Valley is being able to project what a young man would be 1 year, 2 year, 3 year maybe, instead of getting the blue chippers, what we are not able to do because of resources, and the Big Ten or the SEC people are able to do and get them. I think more so Mississippi Valley have gone into developing people 3 years from today, being able to project, being able to see people today as they will be tomorrow. All of this is wrapped up into a nutshell, that you have to be able to do a lot with a little. I could coach at Notre Dame, but I wonder could they coach at Mississippi Valley.
The Delta Devils play undefeated Alcorn State tomorrow. Interest in the game has been so high that they've moved it from Ida Bena to the 62,000-seat stadium at the state capitol in Jackson. Should the conference championship come to Mississippi Valley, it would be sweet revenge for this school, which for so long has been the doormat in this conference and which the state considered closing last year. But Coach Cooley has now developed the Edwards Air Force Base of college football, and they have plenty of the right stuff to make itty-bitty Ida Bena a household word.
The last thing I heard was the siren.
I wouldn't make it. I'd never see my wife, the baby on the way. Who'd take care of them?
That was a close one.
Yeah, we made it.
I got a second chance to make sure both my loved ones are cared for.
At Prudential, we know most of us don't get a second chance. Talk to a Prudential agent and get the peace of mind that comes with a piece of the rock.
I'm here.
Get a piece of the rock.
Prudential Life Insurance.
Most people don't know what their auto insurance covers until it's too late. Ask a Prudential agent for a Pru review.
Don't believe it.
I believe it.
Well, believe it or not, I don't think we're covered.
Not covered?
But we must be.
No.
But what if we're not?
Oh.
If you had a Pru review, I did. I mean, I know my car would be covered.
Get a piece of the rock.
Get Prudential's Pru review. It's fast and free.
He sure needs a facelift.
College football, the All-American game.
The Prudential Halftime Report has been sponsored by Prudential. For life, health, auto, home, get a piece of the rock. Prudential Insurance.
Live again, Florida Field in Gainesville, Florida, where we're tied at the half, 3-3, and the crowd, the big crowd of 74,000, is being entertained right now by the Fighting Gator Band. Michaels and Grosscup with you again. You know, when it's 3-3 at the half, you don't have the most scintillating highlight package of all time. Not much to show you, but actually, when you take a look back at what we are going to show you, you're going to see one of the greatest recoveries ever by a punter.
I think it's one of the best I have ever seen. It shows that Ray Criswell, number 13, is more than just a punter. He's an athlete. Watch how he recovers here. The ball snapped well over his head. And what might have been a 40-yard loss here turns into a plus 16 in terms of net punting yardage. He was backed up to his own end zone there, had to make a little whirly bird, quick turnaround, and it's one of the best efforts I've ever seen by a punter.
Auburn was able to come back and get a field goal, tie the game 3-3, and then Auburn was moving again toward the end of the first half, but an interception by Roger Sibbald was able to stave off a potential Auburn score, at least to take them out of any possibility of even kicking a field goal and make it 3-3. Take a look now at the Sibbald interception coming just prior to the end of the first half.
Not too surprisingly, defense and kicking dominated the first half of play. Washington here is trying to go deep middle here, and perfect timing on his jump there by number 25, the strong safety Roger Sibbald, results in his first interception of the season. And a key play for the Gators because, as you can see, Auburn really was knocking.
Well, it's 3-3. It figured to be a close game. A lot of the players were saying it was going to be a real defensive struggle, but I thought we'd see a few more points on the board than we have. What about you?
I'm not surprised. I felt that it would be a defensive struggle. And just talking to the coaches yesterday, their priorities essentially are running, defense, and the kicking game, with passing coming maybe a little further down the road. So I think that's essentially what you're going to see in the second half. I don't think you will see any major departure from the initial game plan until one of the other teams breaks loose.
Might come down to, as Pat Dye said yesterday, one of his worries and one of the things Galen Hall knew he had to his advantage was the kicking game, and we've seen evidence of that already today. That Criswell play was a very big play.
It may come down to just that. I think the foot is ultimately going to win the football game today.
So we're tied 3-3 halftime at Florida Field in Gainesville, and this ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by the Chrysler Corporation, featuring the all-new 1985 Colts, imported for Dodge and Plymouth and built by Mitsubishi in Japan. Just remember Colt, it's all the Japanese you need to know. By Zenith Advanced System 3, the smart sets. The quality goes in before the name goes on. By Firestone, with over 4,000 retailers from coast to coast. Fine quality tires, master care service, and a complete line of batteries. Come on, America is driving to Firestone. And by Olympic gold and silver coins from the U.S. Treasury. The holiday gift of lasting value.
This is today's Chevrolet, and this is today's Chevrolet. This Chevrolet is specially modified for the International Race of Champions. This is a new Camaro IROC Z28 built for you. Chevrolet encourages the use of selected parts and components by race teams, and that helped us build this Chevrolet. World champions drive this Camaro, but the Camaro IROC Z28 makes you feel like a champion.
Drive today, Chevy. Live today, Chevy. Chevy. America. America's driving, driving over. America's driving to Firestone. We're with you coast to coast. Firestone. Keep you moving on the go now. Driving force is Firestone.
Come on, America. Drive over now to Firestone Tire and Service Center.
Firestone.
The ghosts of Christmas past. Gifts given, received, and forgotten. They end up worthless junk in the attic. But there is one gift that's almost always worth more. A gold or silver coin. This $10 gold piece is now worth thousands. This year, for the first time, you can give Olympic gold and silver coins from the U.S. Treasury. And Olympic coins will still be valued when other gifts are collecting dust in the attic. Available at many locations, or call this number toll-free for information.
3-3 ball game. I'm here with the head coach of the Auburn Tigers, Pat Dye. Coach, would it be true in saying that field position or a lack of field position has really been a bad factor for your team?
Because Florida had a lot to do with that. They moved the football on us in the first quarter. We didn't move it on them. Us turning the football over hurt us also. But right now we got to come back and take the football this half. We got to make some first down, get the ball off our end of the field, even though we may not get any points on it. We've got to maintain field position. I felt like in the second quarter we began to play a little better on defense, and if we can do that, I think we'll be able to move the football some, but I don't think we're going to move it at will against Florida for sure.
How much more will Bo Jackson play?
Well, I'm not sure. We just used him a little bit the first half, and we'll just kind of play it by in the second half.
Was there a perceptible lift on your team when he came in the ball?
I don't think so. We're not going to depend on Bo to win or lose a football game for us. But he can certainly help us win it if he made some big plays the first half.
Okay, good luck in the second half, Coach. Al?
Well, thank you, Lynn. And Pat Dye, pretty honest man in the sense that I guess some coaches would say, yeah, there was a perceptible lift when he came in. But I think Pat was being quite realistic. This is a team that has been able to overcome its problems. They have missed Jackson, but still keep in mind, despite Bo's absence, they won 6 straight since he won out. He's been back in for a couple of token appearances today, and Florida kicks to Auburn to start the second half. Ed Graham with the ball and brings it back from the 5 out to the 18-yard line as we take a look at the Florida defense. Alonzo Mintz, number 62, is a 262-pounder. There's the big man in the middle. We talked about Tim Newton quite a bit in the first half. Keith Williams had a relatively quiet first half. Ron Moten is the sophomore outside backer, and there's the big man. Alonzo Johnson leads the team in tackles. Art White, number 43, and Scott Armstrong are the other linebackers, 57. Tigers, first down and 10. Pat Washington is the quarterback out of the wishbone as we start the second half, tied 3-3. And to give us to the very first man through, Tommy Agee. Sophomore picks up 3. Completing the defense, Ricky Easman is the cornerback, number 8. On the other side, you've got the freshman Jarvis Williams. There is Roger Sibbel, the erstwhile quarterback who made the interception. And Adrian White, the free safety. He had a big pressure play in the first half where he blitzed and forced Washington to throw the ball away in a hurry. Second down. Make it 6. Ball at the 21-yard line. Washington gets thrown down by Tim Newton. Fake the give, kept, and there was Newton, who can move for a big man.
Newton is the man we talked about earlier who came here as a 220-pound linebacker and beefed up.
There are the Auburn offensive backs and receivers. Again, those three running backs, they do a lot of maneuvering there. And the guys up front, Jeff Parks, the tight end, was not utilized at all in passing situations in the first 30 minutes. Third down and 9 from the 19-yard line. Delay, give it to Campbell, and Collis gains close to 5, but still they are shy of the first down, and the Florida Gator defense stiffening early here in the second half, and they're going to get the ball back. One of the men involved in that tackle was Mark Porth, number 59. You can see him there. He's coming off. He was suspended for 5 games. He's sort of what you'd call a wild man in a way, very demonstrative, was leading cheers last year. But he was suspended. He was involved in an altercation, and some charges were filed earlier this year, and he was suspended for 5 games, and he's back in today. Lewis Colbert back at the 9-yard line to punt. Fair catch called for by the up man. Roger Sibbald at the 46-yard line. Crowd wanted some interference called as well, but they don't get it. Defensively, let's take a look at Auburn. Robinson, a couple of big plays for him. Gerald Williams, they're big and they're strong and they're very flexible up front. Hallman leads the team in tackles. Ben Thomas is another man that it's very difficult to run around, and John Daly acquitted himself well in the first 30 minutes. First down, Gators. From the 46-yard line, Lorenzo Hampton is the tailback. That is he with the ball, and into Auburn territory to the 47-yard line. Greg Carr made the stop, and there he is, his picture. Pat Thomas, the other linebacker, comes from Mobile. Now taking a look at the secondary, they've got a freshman in Kevin Porter. They have a sophomore in Alvin Briggs. Very young defensively, as you can see, sophomore Tom Powell. And the senior is Vic Beasley. He's the only senior. And again, they're missing King, who would have been their best defensive back, broke a leg last week. He's gone for the year. Second down and 3, and it's John L. Williams to the outside, and he takes it to the 45-yard line, where he is stopped by Gerald Williams, number 90. Florida offense. Kerwin Bell, third in the nation in passing efficiency. Hampton and Williams starting here, but don't forget you're going to see a lot of Anderson, 27, Roll into Teal. And the guys who lead the way for them right there. Anderson comes back in. Third down 1. Early stages, third quarter. Game time 3-3, power I formation. Hampton is in there too. He's number 7. Tailback is Anderson behind Williams, and Anderson takes it behind all that blocking, and Anderson, I think, has the first down. They needed a yard and a half or so, and he's close to it.
What you saw right there, Al, might be the key to this second half as we look at what appears to be a first down. Florida, you mentioned, very big in the offensive line. They average 282 pounds. Every member of that offensive line can bench press 400 pounds or more. See the surge of the offensive line there? Here's the handoff to Anderson out of the power I, and he just falls in behind that wall of blockers for the valuable yardage.
Gators have it at the Tiger 44-yard line. Bell throwing to Natil. He caught that seam and made the catch at the 30-yard line. Got right in there between the defenders, made the catch. Down he went at the 30, and it's a first down.
I talked about him at the very top of the show. Kerwin Bell is a quarterback I think has virtually unlimited potential. He's 6'3", 190 pounds. He told us yesterday that he grew up idolizing Roger Staubach. Where's Roger's number? And at times his delivery reminds me a little bit of Staubach.
6 of 12 is Bell for 79 yards, and it's a first down with Gary Roll in motion. From the 30-yard line, they call Hampton's number, and Hampton exploits a quick opening hole for 7 or 8 yards down to the 22. Stopped by Porter and Thomas.
The hole on the right side in what is one of the good I formation plays It's a misdirection with the tailback, Lorenzo Hampton, winding up with the ball. Hits a good block from Hinson on the right side, along with Bromley, the center, number 50.
Second down and 3. Gators at the 23-yard line. Give it to Hampton again. He tries the left side. Nothing cooking. Thrown back. Good play. Greg Carr, 54. Read it right. Made sure he had nowhere to go. Forced him to the outside. And the two-time All-SEC linebacker and a well-spoken man, had a nice visit with him yesterday, makes the play.
Well, he's kind of the personification of what we refer to as the scholar athlete. Academic All-American. He has done it all consistently for the Gators. For the Tigers, I should say.
Well, you see, that term scholar athlete or student athlete has been so much abused in recent times. It really is nice, and you like to point it out when you run into a guy that embodies what it used to stand for. Third down and 6 from the 26-yard line. Incomplete on Bell's pass. Intended for Lindsey Smith. And a marker has been thrown. It's been a relatively penalty-free game, but this one is called by Robert Aye, the official, discussing the options here with Carr. And that will force Florida back to the 31. I didn't catch the initial call. I think he said delay of the game. Let's see. Here it is. Yeah.
Violation of the 25-second count. Offense. Third down. Dead ball foul.
Third down and 11 with the ball at the 31-yard line. Frankie Neal wide to the left. And the Teal wide to the right. McDonald is also in the game and split out. Back to pass is Bell. Bell throwing deep and incomplete down the near sideline, intended for Frankie Neal. Tom Powell covered on the play. Third down. Make it fourth down. Fourth down coming up right now.
Frankie Neal, number 21, is in motion and straight up the right sideline. He's working on number 9, Tom Powell, for the Tigers. That ball might have been thrown with a little softer touch and a bit more of a looping trajectory, because when you have a man barely out in front like that, you need to take a little something off the ball.
Here's Chris Perkins, their long field goal kicker. And this one's long. It's 49 yards, but it's a juggle snap and an Auburn recovery. At the 37-yard line, Walter Bird, who you'll recall, snapped the ball over Criswell's head before in that punt. Watch again here.
High snap. And Criswell fumbles the ball.
So Criswell involved in both plays, but the bad snap by Bird, and Auburn has it at the 37 when we come back.
Sharp introduces a revolutionary change for the copy center. The compact, affordable Sharp SF900. It has 3 different reduction modes and an enlargement mode. It does a fast 40 copies per minute and has an optional sorter and automatic document feeder. In short, it does all the work of a copy center without taking up all the room.
The compact, affordable Sharp SF900. From Sharp Minds come Sharp products.
When you take one of these things up, you've got a crew to help.
Test pilot Chuck Yeager for AC Delco.
When it comes to my car or truck, I do the work myself. In 40 years, AC spark plugs have never let me down. And with today's technology, AC fire ring spark plugs are engineered to give you up to 30,000 miles reliable performance. Never wait for trouble. Go with AC fire ring spark plugs.
Call 800 AC Delco for a retailer near you.
A golden night as U.S. Olympic boxing medalists make their pro debut. Breland, Whitaker, Taylor, Holyfield, and Biggs, Thursday night, November 15th, live on ABC.
Let's see if we can see on the previous play if that snap was indeed high. I don't think it was. I think it was a very catchable snap.
Yep.
Criswell didn't get the handle on the ball, so therefore he never got it down. So the place kick never really got underway.
Agreed. Even though it was Bird's problem earlier on the punt, this time it looked like it was a pretty good snap. Certainly one that should have been handled. From the 36-yard line, it's Washington Going deep over the middle. Contact is made, but no flag is thrown. Contact between Jesse and Sybil, and what the officials are going to rule incidental contact there, resulting in no flag.
Several controversial calls today on interference. We have had an abundance of flags earlier as we look out west.
As you look at the other scores involving the teams in the top 10, this is a series that has been marked by controversial plays in recent years. Fumble at the 37-yard line and a big pileup. And did Washington recover? Naturally, Eastman thinks Florida has it. That's going to be your normal reaction, but it's Auburn coming up with the football. Looks like the center was the man who came up with it, Yan Cowart, number 53. So with 8 minutes and 20 seconds to play in the third period, and the game tied 3-3, the Tigers have a 3rd and 10 from their own 36-yard line. Washington, screen, and incomplete, intended for Bo Jackson. Alonzo Johnson was really bearing down on Bo.
Good job of reading by number 93, Alonzo Johnson. The great linebacker who is surpassing some of the records set by Wilbur Marshall, who went on to be a #1 draft pick of the Chicago Bears.
Auburn to punt. Lewis Colbert, good snap, gets it away, but it's not a particularly good kick. In fact, a very bad one that is off the side of his foot and goes out of bounds near midfield. So at the 47-yard line, that's where Florida will be taking over with 7:52 to play in the third period after only a 17-yard kick.
Well, moms and dads the world around give their kids the same old sound. Got to go to school, be a big success. They wouldn't settle for anything less. Now they've learned whatever you seek, you'll help yourself to reach your peak. In the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Need a trade? Looking for a skill? They have hundreds to fit the bill. In the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Want more school? Don't have the bread. They'll help pay to get you ahead. Talking Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Mom and Dad, they'll want to shout. He's made it big. There's no doubt. Thanks, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. It's a great place to start.
Game time 3-3 with 7:52 to play in the third period. And an important game in the Southeastern Conference. Defensive battle. Gators have it at their own 47-yard line, 1st and 10, as they send Neal wide to the left and McDonald wide to the right. Beginning this series, their tailback is 27 Anderson, and fronting him is John L. Williams. Frankie Neal in motion. From the 47, Anderson starts the drive by taking it to the Auburn 45 for a gain of 7. Kevin Green made the tackle.
Anderson is the quickest of the tailbacks. He has 4.3 speed in the 40-yard dash. Probably a more multi-dimensional runner than any of the others. But as we mentioned, this trio of runners is one of the best that the Gators have ever had. That's what they've done today.
Second down, a long 2 from the 45. Williams, a 1st down. He takes it to the 41-yard line. 1st and 10 Gators.
So John L. Williams, who we told you has quick feet, good running instincts, and doubles both as a good nuts and bolts fullback, as well as having big play capabilities.
Williams coming off a game in which he rushed for 111 yards, scored 2 touchdowns in Florida's victory over Cincinnati 2 weeks ago. Again, the Gators were off last week, had time to heal. They believe the off week benefited them. From the 41, quick pitch to Williams inside the 40, the 35, a little straight arm action, and out he goes. Thrown out by Nat Caesar at the 31 and close to a 1st down. From Swanee. Len?
Al, I'm standing right behind linebacker Scott Armstrong from Ocala, Florida, and he has bruised his knee. Now, they won't say whether it's just bruised or sprained or dislocated, but he will be out for the rest of the day, and they'll find out later on this evening just to what extent he did hurt his knee.
That would be a major loss. Armstrong has 60 tackles coming into today's game. He and Lomas, Alonzo Johnson, rather, were leading the team in that department.
And it's something, no doubt, that Auburn will attempt to exploit. Measurement. And it's a first down. The Gators pick up that first down at the 31-yard line with 6 minutes and 36 seconds remaining in a game that's been played rather rapidly.
Ground-oriented, strong defense, kicking game. Just about everything we figured would be in evidence today has been.
At the 31-yard line. Out of the eye. With Anderson, the tailback. And we've got 3 flags, and all taking place before the inception because Jeff Zimmerman was moving. Number 74. So a 5-yard penalty. Take a look as we run other scores by you. No surprise there. Only surprising there in that South Carolina had to battle to win it. Miami wins handily. Georgia, well,
dead ball foul. Illegal procedure. Offense. Still first down.
To make a case for Georgia only leading by 10 being somewhat of a surprise, but then again, it's a non-conference game. And next week, Georgia's thinking about Florida anyway in the annual shootout in Jacksonville. First down and 15 here, and a big hole for Anderson. He's out in front, and nobody's going to get him in a touchdown for Neil Anderson. Ball game, a huge gaping hole opens up, and Neil Anderson goes right through the yawning gap all the way in for a 36-yard touchdown. The Gators take the lead 9-3, and Bobby Raymond will attempt the extra point. Ray Criswell will do the holding. This time the snap is good and the kick is perfect. 6:24 to play. We're in the third quarter as Anderson has him going wild at Florida Field.
Harold Hallman, the nose guard, number 94, gets double teamed here, and that's what sets it up for Neil Anderson, number 27. From the end zone, a good look at number 27, Neil Anderson. Misdirection play, and there you see the hole that I talked about as Anderson. This is like a clinic. You know, you draw it up on the board, and then you hope to run it this way, and that's exactly how it turned out. 36-yard touchdown.
6:24 to go, third period. It's the Gators 10 and Auburn 3.
Today's cars do things yesterday's cars didn't.
Please fasten seatbelt.
Their smaller, higher revving engines begin to break down an oil's viscosity within 1,500 miles. But tests show Castrol suffers no significant loss of viscosity even after 5,000 miles. So listen to your car.
Exceeding recommended RPM.
It may be telling you something. Castrol, engineered for smaller cars.
Being there. That's what being a State Farm agent is all about.
When Scott and Vicki started to outgrow their insurance, we got together and reviewed it all. The new house, a second car, life and health coverages too. A State Farm family insurance checkup can be a big help. It's free, and it's there because things change. And like a good neighbor... Right, Jason? Yeah! State Farm is
On Monday Night Football, the tough Atlanta Falcons take on the Washington Redskins, who are battling for a playoff spot in a heated division race. Live at 9 Eastern on ABC.
ABC Sports, home of Super Bowl 19. There's the man of the moment, Neil Anderson. Through the gap he went, 10-3. The Gators on top.
36-yard touchdown run. That makes him 79 yards on the day and 11 carries.
And the Gators kicking off now. It's a good boot taken in the end zone, and after some confusion, Johnson comes out and wishes he had. Fumbles the football. the 12-yard line. But it's Auburn's ball.
This is clearly a mistake by Arthur Johnson, strong safety man, number 40. He should not have attempted to run this ball out. All of his team members had stopped, so there's no way you could set up the return.
They rolled it dead when he hit the ground. And Auburn starts at the 12-yard line, out of the wishbone on first down. Campbell gains 2. Second down and 8.
That's the kind of play that coaches will run over and over and over again during a Monday or Tuesday film session. And it's not something you like to look at again if you're the player who didn't down the ball.
On second and 8, Washington keeps it himself. He gains 2. Pennington making the tackle. It's a charged up Gator defense. Remember, Florida has never won the Southeastern Conference title.
Alonzo Johnson, number 93, who we've been comparing to Wilbur Marshall throughout the day. Wilbur, of course, being the man who was the top tackler for them last season, went on to be a number 1 draft pick of the Chicago Bears. I think Alonzo is going to surpass many of the records that Wilbur set here.
Third down and 6 for Auburn at the 16-yard line. 5 minutes to go in the quarter. Washington throwing it out to the near side to Bo Jackson, and Jackson is out of bounds at the 31-yard line. Roger Sybil gets credit for the tackle, but Jackson makes the catch and begins to turn it on a bit.
So the man who everyone considered the leading candidate for the Heisman Trophy prior to the start of this season makes his second reception of the day, this time a little flat cut. He shows you some of that elusiveness as he gets away from Sybil, number 25.
Jackson lines up at right halfback in the wishbone. First down from the 31-yard line. Straight ahead goes Tommy Agee for a gain of 2.
This, of course, is a partisan crowd, but everyone seems to like to watch Bo Jackson play.
Texas is back in it with Tech after trailing. Brigham Young just keeps rolling. No contest there today. Third quarter, Penn State leads Boston College in a big surprise by 13. Crimson win. Yale's win. And so does the green. Second and 8. Pitch to Jackson again, and he stopped at the 47-yard line. It'll be third down and about 5 upcoming. Upset there, Maryland over Carolina. Actually, not an upset, but they beat them in Carolina. As Clemson over Wake Forest. Georgia Tech, 28-point winner. Notre Dame had to come from behind again. Boy, Fauci is living right on the edge, isn't he? Wisconsin and Iowa tied after Wisconsin beat Ohio State last week. TCU, what a story they've become. Horned Frogs are a power again. Third and 4. Washington, he's keeping and takes it out to the 43-yard line at a first down, where Sybil and Korf converge on him. But it's a button-up and conservative drive here for Auburn, and they're moving the football.
This is definitive wishbone football here. Good fake to the fullback as Pat Washington moves down the line. Now, this is part 2 of the triple option, where he puts the ball down and moves upfield. Cumulus, nimbus, nimbus, cumulus. Little clearing over there in the far corner.
Been an overcast day, but no rain during the game after a lot earlier. Bootleg to the left side, and Washington throws over the middle, and there's a man wide open. Jeff Parks, number 82, the tight end, makes his first catch of the day and his 12th of the season. And it's another Auburn first down, so a very impressive, steady drive for the Tigers here.
The Tigers have had their best success with crossing patterns, plays that develop over the middle. Tiger, War Eagle,
first down. Pickup of 3 by Washington. Stopped by Newton. 2nd and 7. This is a series, as we alluded to earlier, that's been basically dominated by the home teams over the last 8 years. In fact, the home teams have won every game, and the Tigers would have to go back 12 seasons before they won a game in Gainesville. Last time they won it here in 1972. 2nd and 8 from the 41. Jesse to the 35-yard line goes Tim, setting up 3rd and 2, and he is stopped by Keith Williams.
Alonzo Johnson, number 93, gets faked out momentarily, but gets back into the play and gets the first hit before a host of Gator tacklers, along with Keith Williams, make the tackle.
Florida leading 10-3, but a very impressive Tiger drive as they've taken it to the Gator 35-yard line. It's 3rd down and a short 2. Spinning is Fullwood, but they throw him back for a loss. Adrian White and Ricky Eastman came up from the secondary after he had eluded the initial stop. And thus this drive stopped at the 36.
Great effort here by Florida as the defensive line just scratches and claws and twists and bites, and they do everything they have to do to pull down Fullwood right there. Eastman and White are the guys that eventually bring him to the turf.
Newton a little shaken up. And he comes out of the lineup. It's 4th down and 3, and the Auburn Tigers are going to go for it. They will eschew the possible field goal and go for it on 4th and 3 from the 36-yard line. Washington rolling left, throwing left, and incomplete. It was dropped at the 30-yard line by Reggie Ware, who had it in his hands, had the first down, and watched the ball bounce on the turf. They're held on down, and the Gators have the ball with 1:18 to play in the 3rd quarter.
What would you call a Zenith that puts a 25-inch picture in a 19-inch space?
Smart, real smart.
That's capable of 178 channels, including cable.
Choices are smart.
And for continuous color balance, a computer brain.
A brain is smart.
Plus parental control that locks out channels you don't want.
Now that's smart.
The Smart Sets, Advanced System 3 from Zenith, designed with Zenith computer technology. When you want everything smart. Which computer company is making more room in the computer room? A company with the technology to build a computer system that's more powerful and more reliable than its older cousins, but a whole lot smaller. That company is NCR.
Hello? Your new computer's here.
Their computer's everything the big computers were, except big. Innovative computer technology. You can expect it from NCR.
Get the whole story with Howard Cosell on the only regularly scheduled sports journalism series on network television. A candid look at the issues and figures behind the headlines. The Emmy Award-winning ABC Sports Beat.
Al, you've got the right call and the right execution. Play action fake. Washington moves to his left. He's looking for his fullback, number 36, Reggie Ware. Everything goes right except one thing. He drops the football.
And that means that Florida takes over at the 36-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Gators from there, as Lorenzo Hampton finds a nice hole and exploits it for 8 yards. You go back a week, Auburn struggled against Mississippi State, but beat them 24-21 in Starkville. Last week, Auburn on 5 4th down plays, 8 each. They were 5 for 5, and they came up short here, though. Second down and 2 in the final minute of the 3rd period. Gators lead 10-3. Pitch Pitch to John L. Williams, and a first down for the Gators out to midfield. He takes it to the 50, where Harold Hallman makes the tackle. It'll be a wild week in the Southeastern Conference if Florida wins this one, because there'll be all the talk about the Florida-Georgia game next week. First place at stake in the SEC. Don't forget LSU, of course, but also Florida. Will they appeal to the NCAA? Will the SEC meet and maybe knock them out of a possible Sugar Bowl bid? Going to be a pretty wild 7 days coming up to Jacksonville. First down from the 49-yard line. And Hampton is stopped after a minimal gain by Greg Carr. That's going to do it for the third quarter. 74,000 looking on at Florida Field, and we've got 15 minutes to go. Into the third quarter. Our score is 10-3 Florida. And we'll continue after this commercial message and a word from your local station.
Dan, something for your desk.
Vice President?
You've earned it.
Today, Chevrolet has something for you, too. Discover Caprice Classic.
Now it's here, your reward. Just lean back, it's all yours.
Caprice, now even better with electronic fuel injection standard, plus traditional full-size comfort and prestige you've earned.
So this is today's Chevrolet.
You've earned it.
Drive today, Chevy. Live today, Chevy.
Live it.
Chevy. Who says you can't have it all? Who says you can't love your work and leave it too? Who says you can't taste it all without it telling on you? Michelob Light. Oh, yes, you can. Michelob Light. Oh, yes, you can.
Michelob Light. Super premium taste in a less filling beer.
Michelob Light. Oh, yes, you can. Have it all.
Proven first, fast, and accurate. Join ABC News Election Night.
You've waited for the truth. Who will bring fair trials and justice to people who bring crime and fear to our community? The Tampa Tribune unequivocally endorses Bill James. Has E.J. Salsinas failed as your state attorney? The Tampa Tribune says yes. And because Salsinas took the Fifth Amendment, he forfeits the public confidence and disqualifies himself for public office. The Tribune recommends the election of Bill James as state attorney.
$55.55. That's the full delivered price you pay for Tampa Mitsubishi's new 85 Mighty Max pickup. The lowest truck price in America. Imagine $55.55. Or lease your Mighty Max for just $99 a month. Roomy, fun-to-drive 85 Tredia sedans are only $143 a month. And the all-new 85 air-conditioned Mitsubishi Galant at just $239 a month may be the world's most ingeniously engineered luxury sedan you can drive. See all the 85s at America's #1 Mitsubishi dealer, Tampa Mitsubishi.
Be there first with Action News.
We're starting the fourth quarter in Gainesville. Al Michaels, Lee Groscup, and Lynn Swan with you, with Florida leading Auburn 10-3. And as we start in the fourth period, it's Florida's ball at the 50-yard line. Second down, 9. Kerwin Bell gives it to Lorenzo Hampton. Nice looking hole for Hampton. He gets to the 43-yard line. Lorenzo Hampton, a senior out of Lake Wales, Florida.
Look at the third quarter numbers, and you see that Florida continues to dominate the game in just about every department. 237 to 188 in total yards. Time of possession, you mentioned at the very top, you thought might be important because both teams are possession oriented. Florida winning that battle. Pat Dye felt he would have to shut down their running game, particularly their tackle-to-tackle running game. He's a great believer of controlling and dominating the line of scrimmage.
On third down and 2, it's Lorenzo Hampton trying to cut it back. It gets close to the 41-yard line, short of the first down. John Daly makes the tackle. Penn State leading 23-10, but Doug Flutie going ahead of Jim McMahon of BYU as the total offense leader in NCAA history today. So the Eagles have their work cut out for them, but it's been a milestone day for the little quarterback.
When you pass up the numbers that Jim McMahon set back in 1980 and 81, and before that, of course, you've thrown a lot of passes.
Meanwhile, the Gators on 4th down and 1 now will have to kick with Criswell standing back at his own 45-yard line. And angles it, and it's down at the 1.5. So a great kick there by Criswell. As a sophomore, he had 3 punts down inside the 10 in the game against Auburn. Deja vu.
Aha, pink footprints. Clear that this house is built with high-quality building products. Observe Exhibit A, the pink attic blanket insulation from Owens Corning. The most powerful roll of thermal protection you can buy. Follow me. Exhibit B, long-lasting roof shingles with a heart of pink fiberglass. Again, from Owens Corning. And attractive, easy to install Owens Corning fiberglass ceiling panels. Yo! Finally, the high-quality Owens Corning tub shower. Its slip-resistant surface has a, excusez-moi, a pink panther.
Owens Corning, our building products put your house in the pink.
That's what we have for you next week. South Carolina will come into that game unbeaten against Florida State at 3:30 Eastern time. A couple of independents having good years.
Joe Morrison versus Bobby Bowden. What a matchup of coaches and players.
South Carolina now 8-0. Florida State 5-1-1, and they play Arizona State tonight. Auburn pinned deep from the 1. They begin here early in the 4th period. On 1st and 10, and they give it to Bo Jackson, and Jackson takes it out past the 5, and he's wrestled down at the 7-yard line. And if you're tuning in late, yes, that is the Bo Jackson. Shockingly enough, a man who they thought would be out for the season, and all of a sudden word started to emanate from Auburn that he may be back at the end of the year, and all of a sudden they bring him in and they suit him up, and here he is. And he's carried 5 times for 16 yards today. It is 2nd down and 4. Washington pitching it back to Campbell. Bumped out of bounds at the 8-yard line. It's Roger Sibbald who threw his body in front of him, number 25.
Well, we spotlighted Bo Jackson at the very top of our program. Some sources told us and revealed to us actually yesterday that it was pretty much conclusive that we would see him in action. He is fully recovered now from a right shoulder separation. And he doesn't look like he's lost a thing, frankly.
Auburn, 10 conference wins in a row. That's in jeopardy. 3rd and 4 from the 7-yard line. Jackson elected to keep it himself and takes it out for a 1st down where he's stopped by Sibbald. Washington rolling. Cap's bear has died. Texas beat Texas Tech 13-10. BYU over Texas El Paso. Mentioned that Joe Cap, the coach at Cal, number 1 on the cliche list, would always go around saying the bear won't die. Well, the bear was in major trouble today against the nation's number 1 team. Tommy Agee takes it out to the 17.
The bear may have drowned in Seattle today.
Yeah. Don James has his team playing very well, but Washington's got a big one coming up against USC. And then their traditional rival, Washington State, to close out the season. So that's what faces them if they attempt to, maintain that number 1 ranking. 2nd down and 7. Pitch it out to number 23, who is Collins, and Kyle is stopped at the 15 by Keith Williams.
I think the Huskies have to play that one in Palouse country.
That's right. Washington's got to go up to Washington State. Texas is having a tough time today as they're battling Texas Tech. They're number 2. Remember last year Auburn came so close to winning the national championship. Felt they got jobbed in the final polls after they'd won the Sugar Bowl. And Miami had vaulted all the way from 4-1 by beating Nebraska. 3rd and 10 from the 15-yard line. Washington throwing, and it is complete, but I don't know that Parks got the first down. He is stopped by Williams. That's one of those plays where the receiver really has to be aware exactly how far he must go to get the first down, and he just may have come up shy. And that could be crucial.
I think he's going to come up about a half a yard short.
Yep.
So Jeff Parks, the tight end, ran his hook pattern too shy of the first down.
So you got to have the presence to know where it is. You can see just how shy he is at that point. It's 4th down and inches, and now Dye's decision here will be to go for it. 5 of 5 last week, but 0 for 1 today on 4th down, and this time they're going to make it. So the critical play of the game for Auburn is a first down by Reggie Ware. They give it to that freshman who is 6'3", 238. He's got lineman size and a first down.
Another look at the aforementioned play by the tight end, Jeff Parks, on a crucial 3rd down situation. He doesn't seem to have the awareness of the first down marker, and as a result of that, he comes up a half yard short.
First down for the Auburn Tigers at the 27-yard line. 9:39 to play in the game. Washington protected well, throws, and it is incomplete, and there is no flag as Adrian White banged into Clay Buford. And Buford is screaming. He was hopping mad, as was Pat Dye.
Buford, the wide receiver, running what has been their most effective pass cut today. It's a middle route. The coverage here by Adrian White in the secondary, number 2, is just perfect. He makes the contact, I think, simultaneously with the ball hitting him in the chest. So it's perfect defense.
2nd down and 10, and it's Collis Campbell going nowhere outside of the grasp of Newton. And Johnson.
Collis Campbell, since Bo Jackson went down, has been one of their most effective rushers. We talked to him yesterday. Where's number 38? He says that he liked George Rogers. He's been compared to George Rogers, that kind of a bullish runner who's big and fast and very tough to bring down once he gets through the line of scrimmage.
And a great average, 7.2 per carry. 3rd down and 10. Another crucial play for Auburn here from the 27-yard line, and Washington just throws it away, and he's going to be flagged for it. Roger Sibbald with a safety blitz put the pressure on. Washington just unloaded the football, and the official also throws the flag. So they're going to lose the down and lose the yardage, and they'll be forced to kick.
Florida does not have a high frequency of blitzes, but when they do, they are effective. Safety blitz there by number 25, Roger Sibbald. And Washington throws the ball away and gets the flag.
Back to the 11-yard line it goes. Punting unit comes in. We have 8:51 to play. And the Tigers are digging themselves a hole, because Florida should have it in pretty good field position. When Auburn gets it back, if they can stop Florida, they figure to be deep again. And Auburn really doesn't have the type of offense that's going to explode on you.
Roger Sibbald is having a great game for the Gators.
Here's Colbert's kick. High, good spiraling kick taken by Natil at the 40, and he brings it back out to the 48-yard line. So the Gators, in all likelihood, after the 48-yard punt, will attempt to run down the clock with 8:39 to go. Florida by 7.
Life's not always easy, and no one said it's fair.
Only one card provides peace of mind for nearly 80 million Americans. The Blue Cross and Blue Shield card.
But you can find some peace of mind when you hold on to the one that cares. Carry on with the life you're living. Carry the caring card.
Shield card.
Me and my Chevy S10 worked all summer so I could come back to school. Then I worked on making the rodeo team. Coach said,
What's a scrawny economics major know about bull riding?
rode that bull and made the team. Coach said,
What's that S10 cost?
$59.90, I told him. Lowest price pickup made in America.
$59.90 for a Chevy S10?
I may be scrawny, but I am an economics major.
Nothing works like a Chevy truck.
Well, no surprise there. When I was going through the press guides, I said, you know, the first time in a long time we got two quarterbacks on opposing teams who were Heisman Trophy winners. And, of course, running backs, or I-backs particularly, have dominated the Heisman in the last decade. But the last quarterback to win a Heisman Trophy was Pat Sullivan in 1971.
And Pat is here. Pat works on the Auburn Radio Network as the analyst. So he's viewing the game. As Auburn trails by 7, Florida's ball from their own 49-yard line, and Neil Anderson, who has scored the game's only touchdown, gets about 6 to the 45.
1971 was also the year that the Weisman Trophy was invented.
That was put together by a group of guys who owned, what, the Victoria Station restaurant chain, to honor the guy they thought should have won it, who didn't.
That man was Ed Marinaro.
Yep. 2nd down and 4 from the 46-yard line. Penalty marker. And it's Neil Anderson taking the ball to the 42-yard line. I think we might have a legal procedure. That is the case. And the guilty party is Lomas Brown, number 75. Let's go down to a man who won that Weisman Trophy once, in fact, Lynn Swan. Lynn?
Thanks, Al. I'm sitting in the Florida alumni section with Jason, who graduated from here in 1956. Tell me what it would mean to you as a fan if this team went to the Sugar Bowl as the SEC champion.
It'd be everything to us. You know, we've been forever without it. We'd love it.
You've seen a lot of
support our Gators.
You've seen a lot of good teams pass through this university. How good is this football team?
It's probably the best I've ever seen. Man to man, right down the line of scrimmage. They're the finest we've ever had here.
Well, the Gators' tails are wagging. They want to go to that Sugar Bowl, but you got to wait and see posture. Al?
All right, Swanee, as Anderson has his helmet taken off, moving through to the 45-yard line after the penalty had been assessed. Neil Anderson, number 27. The clock continues to run. 7:37 to play in the game.
I think that gentleman made a good point. Ultimately, it's the guys in the trenches that win it for you. And Florida is probably as strong there as they've ever been. That offensive line, for example, averages 282 pounds. Every member of it can bench press more than 400 pounds. The strongest man, Crawford Kerr, has bench pressed 515 pounds.
3rd down and 4. Big play for the Gators, in as much as they'd like to chew up as much of the clock as they can and pick up this 1st down. And it's complete for a 1st down to John L. Williams, and a lot more than that as he takes it to the 17-yard line. Stopped by Nat Caesar and Kevin Porter with under 7 minutes to go. The Gators a 7-point lead and deep in Auburn territory now.
Well, I mentioned this early on, but I think it probably bears repeating that John L. Williams is not your typical nuts and bolts fullback. He's a guy who can run tackle to tackle for you, but he also has breakaway capabilities, and he's one of the best receivers on this Gator team. Bell now 7 of 14 in the passing department, 107 yards, 28 on that last completion.
1st down from the 17-yard line. Anderson, you know, in a way, it's really the prototypical type of Kerwin Bell day. When you look in the paper, if you don't really follow the teams that closely, you see Bell of Florida 3rd in passing efficiency. And it would normally indicate that Florida's a passing team. But then if you follow the team, you know that their strength is running. Bell is efficient, and those numbers are perfectly reflective of it. 50%, 7 of 14, 107 yards. Nothing spectacular, but enough to get the job done when necessary. 2nd down and 8 from the 15-yard line. With roll in motion. Through the middle goes Anderson again. Another hole and another touchdown.
once again for Neil Anderson, number 27, as he gets in behind Lomas Brown and Billy Hinson on the left side on a misdirection play and takes it in for his second touchdown of the day. He now has 15 carries for 108 yards.
And he's just moved into 4th place on the all-time Florida list. Just went ahead of Chuck Hunsinger and James Jones, now a Detroit Lion. With his performance today, Anderson has done it on the ground, and Raymond's extra point attempt is good. And we're getting ready for what's going to be a terrific tussle next week, because Florida may be heading to Jacksonville unbeaten in the conference.
America, America's driving over. America's driving to Firestone.
Firestone's Drive Over Sale. Save up to 30% on tires, MasterCare service, batteries. Save on every size 721 steel belted radial from only $29.95. Plus, save on MasterCare awarded service, tune-ups, shocks, batteries, and more. Firestone's Drive Over Sale at Firestone now.
Firestone.
AT&T is in mushrooms.
Pheasant or champignon?
How can a mushroom supplier from high up in the Rockies sell this perishable delicacy to the country's finest restaurants as fast as possible? Simple.
Oh, to tell you, I picked some of the best.
With AT&T long-distance service,
Terrific.
our people can show any business the best way to do business. The people of AT&T Communications, we're thinking about your business in ways you never thought of.
On Monday Night Football, the tough Atlanta Falcons take on the Washington Redskins, who are battling for a playoff spot in a heated division race. Live at 9 Eastern on ABC.
Neil Anderson right in the middle, number 27. 36-yard touchdown in the 3rd quarter. 15-yard touchdown in the 4th quarter. Big day for him. Big day for the Gators. They lead 17-3. He has now rushed for 100-plus yards in 3 consecutive games. And it's also the 10th 100-yard game in his career, and that is a Gator record. Monday night, Atlanta-Washington is the matchup on Monday Night Football on ABC, home of Super Bowl 19.
Well, we talked to a Florida player yesterday, and he said that tiger meat was real tough. He said we'd have to tenderize it in the first half, put it in the oven in the 3rd quarter, and then eat it in the 4th quarter.
Pretty good scouting report. Tip, return, and driven all the way back to the 12-yard line was Brent Fullwood. So the Gators have just taken complete control and are dominating every facet of the game. Fullwood, number 22, with the tip, and then he's buried. And that's number 32, Ricky Mulberry, one of the special team members for the Gators, who applies the finishing touch. So Auburn from the 19-yard line. Washington pitching it. Kyle Collins is out of bounds. This is sort of when you wish you weren't a wishbone team, because you've got less than 6 minutes to go and you need 2 touchdowns.
I think that's a pretty revealing graphic right there. It's something that often happens when you get that kind of mileage out of your key runners. You usually win.
2nd down and 10. Washington throwing to the near side, and going out of bounds is Kyle Collins as he takes the pass up at the 28-yard line and a little short of the 1st down, but at least he stops the clock, and that becomes important because not only does Auburn have to move the ball right now, they've got to stop the clock as much as they can. As you can see, they still have 3 timeouts left, but what you really have to do with this type of offense is get it out of bounds as much as you can.
You just made a good point. The wishbone has never been a good come-from-behind offense. It is a control offense. It's a type of offense where you want to ram that ball down the opponent's throat, use up a lot of time, build up a lead, and then sit on the ball. When you have to come from behind in the bone, you're in trouble.
Right now, they will be in even bigger trouble if they can't convert here. 3rd down and inches to go with 5:50 to play in the game. Gators 17, Auburn 3. Again, just to review the conference race for you. In the Southeastern Conference, Georgia 4-0. Non-conference game against Memphis State for them today. Auburn and Florida both unbeaten, though Florida with a tie. That tie with LSU also unbeaten. As we began play today, Georgia meets Florida next week. Georgia takes on Auburn in a couple of weeks. They're able to convert off the third down play as Reggie Ware, the big hulking fullback, takes the ball out to the 32-yard line. Gators on top 17-3. Well,
War Eagle getting a little appetizer there.
Well, that's the wrong imagery for this game, though, because the Gators been chewing up the Eagle.
Chewing up the Eagle and the Tiger, depending on your favorite mascot.
First down from the 33-yard line. And a little swing pass to Agee results in a loss as Alonzo Johnson makes the tackle back in the line of scrimmage.
Curiously enough, War Eagle's name is Tiger.
Clock ticking down inexorably for Auburn at this point. It is second down and 18 at the 24-yard line. Back to pass. Washington rolling and scrambling. He has a little bit of open field, and he's going to utilize that to his advantage and take it out to the 35-yard line. Gain of 11. Johnson and Bolton made the tackle.
That's fine, but again, what you just pointed out is so true. They're taking up too much time now. The wishbone, I've always felt, is at one end of the spectrum, and the run and shoot is at the other. Both, to my taste, are a little too extreme.
Third down and 9 with the ball at the 34-yard line. Washington throwing it behind the intended receiver, Trey Gaines. So it's fourth down. Take a peek now at the standings again coming in today. Georgia 4-0, and they'll remain 4-0. Auburn will go to 3-1 if they get beat. Florida would be 3-0-1. LSU still unbeaten with a tie against Florida. And Vandy is 2-2. Colbert to kick and the Teal to receive. Spinner. 28-yard line, the Teal out to about the 30. Gators have it. 4 minutes to go. Florida leading by 2 touchdowns.
This is Chevrolet Corvette.
You've never seen anything like this before.
A Corvette superb in its engineering and defiant in its performance.
Never before.
Corvette performance you won't believe. And a digital information center you can't ignore. This is your Corvette, America. Technology. That's today's Chevrolet.
This is Mr. Goodwrench. Did you know the spark plugs in your GM car or truck make 8,000 explosions a minute? And each explosion depends on an exact amount of gasoline and air to make your car or truck perform right. So to make sure all those explosions happen precisely, get a professional tune-up by Mr. Goodwrench. We have quality GM parts, equipment, and training available.
It's another of Mr. Goodwrench's good ways.
You keep that great GM feeling with genuine GM parts.
Jim Lampley again in New York. In case you are not aware of it in your region, Alabama did come from behind to beat Mississippi State 24-20. The turning point of the game, the insertion at quarterback of Mike Shula in place of Vince Sutton at the time. Alabama trailed 13-0, came back to win it 24-20. Back to Al Michaels and Lee Grosskopf.
Well, one Alabama school has just pulled off a win, but the other will need even more of a miracle right now because Florida is leading 17-3. We have 4 minutes to go, and the Gators have the football at the 41-yard line. Kerwin Bell, the quarterback. Little pitch to John L. Williams. What he wants to do is stay in bounds, and he does as he takes it out to the 41-yard line. Coming up on a possibility of Galen Hall, the interim coach, being 5-0. And that means if he were to retire tomorrow, he would be the winningest coach in the history of college football in terms of perfection, in terms of percentage. And here's a man who, as we said yesterday, as you look at some of the numbers of the guys that have really done the job for Florida today, Galen Hall, he may very well win that permanent coaching job, or at least have the interim title removed by the end of the season. Certainly he'll have to be considered. Second and short from the 40-yard line, and out to the 44 goes Lorenzo Hampton.
It's looking more and more like a textbook game plan for Coach Galen Hall. When we talked to him yesterday, he said he wanted to establish his running game and particularly wanted to get mileage out of the tailback position. He felt the key to stopping Auburn would be to stop that power pitch, which is the key play for Auburn in their wishbone and broken bone attack. So for Galen, it's been pretty much like he wanted it. Pretty much everything he drew up during the week has come true.
People were saying, well, yeah, they're unbeaten under Hall, but they really haven't played anybody. Well, they're certainly playing a good team today, and there's been no doubt who's been the better unit. 7-yard gain for Lorenzo Hampton as he stopped by Ben McCurdy, number 52. So 2.5 minutes to go, and the Gators fully in control. That's that little sign right there, you saw it. Parenthetically, they asked, see you in 88, question mark, question mark. Part of Florida's penalty would be not to be on television for a couple of years. It wouldn't be quite that severe. I think it was an original 3-year penalty that has been knocked down to 2. Bell pitching to Williams. Williams takes it down to the 46-yard line. It'll be third down and short. Less than 2 minutes to go. College football scoreboard is coming up at the conclusion of the game as you look at a downcast Pat Dye. Dye is a warrior to begin with. If you've ever seen Pat interviewed, Pat can have everything going. He can be coaching the college all-stars against Bethany Junior High, and he's going to worry about the game, at least outwardly. So his worst fears, though, have come true here.
Bethany Junior High?
Well, you know Pat. Pat will never, Pat's not the kind of guy that's going to say we got this one well in hand. We're not worried about it. I think Pat's quote this week was, we're going to go down there on a wing and a prayer. There's Bromley, the center, number 50, who is shaken up with 1:48 to go. But nothing serious, and his place is taken by Rodney Billett, number 51. With 1:48 remaining in the football game. 3rd and inches. You know, it's really crazy in a way. The Auburn Tigers, after this game, will be 0-3 with Bo Jackson and 6-0 without him.
Interesting statistic.
Now that wouldn't figure. Yeah. And really, it's not a reflection on Bo, because let's face it. Everybody who roots for Auburn would love to have had him in there all year, but it's just extremely ironic the way things are going to turn out. Not that Jackson was really any factor in today's game. He was more or less used to get him back to the field of playing, and hopefully for Auburn they'll be able to get him back in as the Gators' remaining games are reflected, and they're all on the road, even though the Georgia game is a neutral site game, the annual confrontation in Jacksonville. They go to Lexington to face Kentucky, and then Florida State is the annual showdown in Tallahassee.
Well, to amplify on what you were just saying, Bo Jackson really hasn't been much of a factor today. 5 carries for 16 yards. He has caught 2 passes.
1st and 10 from the 45-yard line. And this is Lorenzo Hampton. And unless Auburn wants to take their timeouts on defense, Gators only have to run a couple of more plays, but the Tigers will stop the clock here. Auburn's going to take a timeout. That's the first of 3 if they so desire, with 51 seconds remaining to be played in the game. So they're about ready to do some celebrating in Gainesville, where the Gators lead the Tigers by 14.
What makes Peerless America's #1 do-it-yourself washerless faucet?
It goes in fast. It's built to last.
It's even warranted. It lasts a long, long time.
No tools to use. You just can't lose.
And look, it doesn't rip. It lasts a long, long time.
Peerless washerless faucet installs in no time.
It lasts a long time.
It lasts a long, long time.
Peerless installs in no time, lasts a long time.
What gets America moving when the weather turns cold?
Presto.
What keeps football heroes on the go?
Prestone.
Why does your car need a fresh fill of Prestone? A radiator could look this bad after just 10,000 miles of driving on weak, neglected antifreeze, while a Prestone radiator looks this good. That's the Prestone difference.
What gets the country set for winter from New York to San Antonio? America goes with Prestone.
Next Saturday, 5th-ranked South Carolina, only one of 5 major unbeaten collegiate teams in the nation, tangled with Florida State live at 3:30 Eastern on ABC.
Dye and Hall at opposite ends of the spectrum right now. Galen's going to be 5-0, and Dye is going to watch his Sugar Bowl chances come pretty close to evaporating. Though not totally. It's only their first loss in the conference. It is 2nd down and 8 for Florida from the 43-yard line, and they'll just button it up and give it to Hampton, and he's going to pick up the first down, and this is going to ice the cake, and in addition, put more points on the board. Touchdown. Lorenzo Hampton. He's been a man who has run off some long scores this year, 44, 64, and 54 yards. And he's added a 44-yard touchdown. Well, they've opened up some beautiful holes through the middle. Raymond's kick is good. Officially goes into the books as a 43-yard touchdown. Gallup. 41 seconds to go. It's 24-3 Florida.
Sat down with Mom, talk to Dad. Can't get it together, makes you feel sad. You know you can do it, you wonder where. You want it soon because you really care. The services can help you so you not only get better, you really grow. Talking Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. They'll take you, train you, show you the way. You'll work hard, get decent pay in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Prove you can make it. Prove it to all. Serving your country and walking tall in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. You've got it together. They'll see in a glance. Thanks to the services, you got the chance in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. It's a great place to start.
In this uncertain and bewildering world of personal computers, the Tandy 2000 stands apart. In power, speed, and graphics, the Tandy 2000 is clearly superior. For service, support, and software, Tandy is clearly superior. Available exclusively at Radio Shack Computer Centers. Compare. You too will immediately recognize Tandy technology, service, and support are clearly superior.
Lorenzo Hampton putting a little frosting on this cake that the Gators have baked in Gainesville as they lead 24-3. Another look now.
If you're a running back, you've got to love the work of this offensive line, particularly on misdirection plays today. Crawford and Kerr leading the way. Good cutback right there is what really springs him. A little stiff arm, juke step, traverse, tap dance in the end zone. That man showed it all on one run. 44 yards. Well, make it 43 if you'd rather. And those are his numbers on the day, clearly reflected there for 1 touchdown.
Kickoff, Fullwood takes it. He ran back 3 in one game in high school after the 19-yard line, but this one is just winding down in the sense that Auburn will run off a couple of plays and the Gators will begin to celebrate and then think ahead toward next week in the Georgia game. And our thanks up here in the booth to our ace guys every week. George Hill, Kelly Hayes from the Renegade Spotting and Statistical Service. Great job as always. First down from the 19-yard line. Washington, incomplete, intended for Kyle Collins. 32 seconds to go. Second and 10 from the 19.
Bring on the dog.
That's what they're looking for right now. Washington throwing, and it's complete and out at the 33-yard line.
Washington's pass completes Donaldson, knocked out of bounds by Williams.
Galen Hall, 27 seconds to go. That last catch made by Duke Donaldson as Auburn gets its reserves in right now. So now Florida has the decision to make. Do they want to appeal the NCAA penalty, which would in effect push back the penalties and make them eligible in the NCAA's eyes for a possible Sugar Bowl bid? Of course, the only thing that could happen outside of that would be the SEC, as the pass is nearly intercepted, for the SEC to step in and rule Florida ineligible. And of course, there will be all kinds of allegations that there were conflict of interest and the rest. So it's going to be an interesting little week coming up, maybe even longer than that. Again, we had Marshall Kreiser on earlier, the president of the University of Florida. If you missed it, his contention early on was that even though some people contend it looks as if they were waiting for the outcome of today's game, there were other things that Florida is not happy about as the pass is completed and out of bounds at the 33 goes Collins. He said it's simply more than that, more than whether or not we win a game, in the words of President Kreiser before the game, but there were other allegations that the Gators apparently are not particularly happy with and may want to appeal. So take it for what it's worth. And the way you take it, I'm sure, is dependent upon which team you root for. From the 33-yard line, pass is incomplete. And 1 second remains, so Hall's going to get a victory ride, but it ain't official yet, gang. Bring on the dog, says the board. Well, they get the dog next Saturday.
Well, the saying there is, let the big dog eat. It's going to take a real strong dog to take on these Gators.
Neil Anderson, big day. Understand, since this game's going to end early, BC Penn State, part of that game we may be able to bring to you, as well as all the scores, as this is the final play of the game, and a little Hail Mary action winds up as an interception at the 25-yard line. Ricky Eastman ends the day with an interception, appropriately so. Galen Hall, tell you what, that interim, I think, at least has gone from a lowercase to a capital I. He's 5-0. In relief for Charlie Fell, and he's just pulled off his biggest victory. 24-3, and done it rather convincingly as he accepts the congratulations of Pat Dodd.
He may move into a new office.
Right. No more Spartan surroundings for Hall. He's getting to be a big hero in Gainesville. Al Michaels, Lee Grosskopf, and Lynn Swan. That's the story from Gainesville, Florida. The executive producer of ABC Sports is Roone Arledge. Coverage of today's game produced by Kurt Gowdy Jr. and directed by Larry Camp. Our technical director was Chet Mazurik, and our associate director was the indefatigable Ben Harvey. College football scoreboard coming up next, and this ABC Sports exclusive has been brought to you by Chevrolet, who invites you to see today's Chevy, drive today's Chevy, live today's Chevy. By Mr. Goodwrench General Motors Parts, who help you keep that great GM feeling with genuine GM parts. By Radio Shack, the computer experts. And by Owens Corning, our building products put your house in the pink. Stay tuned for college football scoreboard. Again, Florida beats Auburn 24-3. Travel arrangements were made through, and a promotional fee paid by United Airlines.